Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Jacob Avillion. That's my friend Brayden McClellan, and this
Hello.
is the first episode of our new weekly podcast called Brayden and Avillion Talk. And this is going to be recorded every Tuesday. We'll see when it gets uploaded, probably tomorrow, but
Yeah, I guess we should have talked about that, but I have an idea. Okay.
wonderful. But recorded every Tuesday. We'll post clips from this, some highlights, whatever, or segments that we found interesting, segments that we
hmm
particularly enjoyed discussing that we want to highlight on our own channels respectively, and we're going to be alternating every week whose channel this goes on. This first episode will be going on my channel, next week on Brayden's channel, and of course switches every week.
So if
So
you like this podcast, you got to come over to my channel and subscribe.
that's precisely what you should do if you enjoy the content. Go to Brayden's channel. He's got all types of stuff cooked up there. He's got
More
fantasy
to come.
football content. He plays old Wii games. He's got what he calls Wii Vaults, where he
Yeah.
talks about old Wii games in great
That
detail.
is like the series on my channel right now.
It's
Two
a damn
more
good one
like
too.
notable series are on their way, but that's the one I'm on right now. Hopefully, new series dropping next week. Little tease.
So how you doing? How you
I'm
How's
doing
life treating you?
great. I'm doing great. We're gonna start each podcast off with just a little personal check-in, just to see how everyone's doing. I hope everyone out there is doing good. Me, just doing great. Just working out, living life, making these YouTube videos.
Yes, sir.
So what's going on with good old Avillion?
Well, so yesterday was an interesting day. So
Mm.
I was getting ready to go to work, and my motorcycle wouldn't start. And
Mm.
then randomly, about an hour and a half later, it decided it did want to start. So I'm going to work and I'm getting ready to turn from. I'm at a right turn lane. I'm getting ready to turn. There's a car in front of me. I'm waiting for them to go, and then a cop pulls up next to me at the
Oh,
light.
okay.
And he because I think I told you about this yesterday.
Yeah, you did
but
tell us the cop
he
part.
very politely asks me if I can just pull over at the next turn. So I'm like, hell yeah, man, like whatever. So I once I have a room to go, I think the light went green. I just went, and then I turned immediately. I stopped in the ditch, just a little further up the road, just so we wouldn't be right in front of the turn, but a little further up. Stopped in the ditch, and cop stops behind me, of course, and he's a real cool dude. He only stopped me because my license plate was vertical instead of horizontal. So I don't have a
Mm.
fender on my bike. It's a bobber. Whoever had it before me modified the bike. There's no fenders on it. So I can't have, a horizontal license plate on the back. And it's also supposed to be on the back. It can't be like mine's like in front of my exhaust, kind of like towards the back side of the bike. But it has to be horizontal and it has to be on the back. But he didn't give me a ticket or anything. He actually handed me like a list of statutes in Florida to be aware of, and he underlined the
Mhm.
one that I was in violation of, and he's like, hey, look up this number if you've got any other questions. But we were there all of like 3 minutes, and
Wow.
he just told me, just hey, your plate's vertical, it should be horizontal. But he said he rides too, so he gets it. But cool dude, cool, like
Did he say that
probably
with a wink?
no, but he
I
was
ride too.
very he was but he was very upbeat about it, but like like probably the most pleasant possible interaction you can have when you're on the business end of police work. So,
Mhm.
no fee, no ticket, nothing,
Mm.
just got he didn't even like talk to me as if he was doing me a favor. Like he didn't get like I'm letting you off with a warning or what. No, he just straight up said, like, hey, here's this list, whatever. Here's your
Yeah.
license back. Here's your motorcycle endorsement paper back. And then that's it. He just left. He was on his way. So,
Yeah, I think I've only ever been pulled over by a cop once. It was a little
oh,
lady,
I
it
don't
was
think
a
I've ever
lady
heard.
cop, so she let
I've
me off with
never,
a warning.
I've never heard this story. I don't think, but
It was like still during COVID, like when COVID was going off,
yeah.
and I had to go to school, to good old Brennan. It's where
Oh, brother,
it's where these two lovers here met.
William J. Brennan High School.
But I guess I was going like a tad over the speed limit for the school zone on the way to the school.
Yep.
And it was like still during COVID, so we pulled off like into the school parking lot because I didn't even know like the lights were for me. I
Yep.
was like so confused what was going on. But I pull off into the parking lot, and then she comes out. She's like, everything's opening back up. Just gotta, be more mindful, be more careful. But you're all right. And that was it.
Yeah.
I think she saw my blue eyes and was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll let
Oh,
you
he's
off.
handsome. Yeah. Yeah, see, he didn't even put the lights on. Like, he just pulled up next to me at the light because I was on a bike, so it's easy for him to do it. I got
Yeah.
plenty of rooms there, so he just pulled up and with his window rolled down and just very
Oh
like
yeah,
again
when you first told the
very
story, I just
very
imagine he got out of his car, walked up to you, and was like, "Can you, when you get the chance?"
no, he just stops next to me at the light. It just asked me. So real cool, the real polite, real respectful interaction between the both of us. Like, it's just good first impression for my first time getting pulled over. Good first
Wow.
impression of like Tampa police. So good job, buddy. I
So
appreciate you, man.
that's a good experience you've had. Now let's see if we've all had good experiences with week 1
Well,
of
hang
the
on.
NFL.
I was gonna
Oh, you
say
got anything else?
I got cut off by an Altima on my way home. Who else but the Altima? It's always the damn Altima drivers.
Mhm.
I got cut off by an Altima. You know those like built-in left turn only lanes that you see on a divided highway where it's like only this side of the road can turn here, and it's
Yeah.
yeah. Well, this guy goes in there from the other side of the road to make a U-turn and cuts me off in the process.
Oh
Even though he
wow.
just came from Hi buddy, he just came from the other side. Sorry, my cat has joined us. Hi, mister.
Mm.
But, like, yeah. Sorry I ruined your perfect transition there.
Yeah, I was kind of. I was gonna be like,
I'm sorry.
I was when off camera. I was gonna be like, "Hey Jacob, next time, like
Yeah.
maybe if the transition's clean, we can just kind of
Yeah,
move forward."
maybe we'll just let it go. Yeah, no, you're right. That's my bad. Sorry, that was clean as shit. I'll proceed, sir.
All right, so we're gonna hop around. So when we talk about NFL games here, we were always going to talk about the winners first.
Yes.
2 exceptions. If the Cowboys lose, that's my team, or if the Titans lose.
Even then, I'm gonna go into. I'll give the Saints their flowers first when we get
Yeah.
into my part of the segment
But
here. But
since the Cowboys game was a little bit, honestly, it was more boring because of how one-sided it was. We're going to start with the Cowboys game because it's, there's not too much to talk about.
you might not have as much to say as I do.
Yeah,
about
because
my team's
and there
performance.
wasn't as much outside interference maybe by some refs, which
Something
we'll get
like
into. We'll get into. So we'll start off with the Cowboys game. Cowboys beat the Giants 40-0, which was beautiful for me to see. When the game started off, so the Giants get the ball and they're running on us. Like their first drive was easily their best drive.
They were pounding the rock really effectively.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, okay, our run defense is still a problem. Hopefully near the end of the season, Mozzie Smith develops and that becomes less so. But then there's a false start on the Giants, and then a bobbled snap that leads into, I guess, a sack. I don't know. I never know how they classify those when the ball just is on the ground. And
I think if the quarterback recovers it, it might be viewed as a sack. But maybe if he never established possession of the ball
that's
to
the
begin
thing,
with, then
because
it might
if
just be a
that's
TFL.
the case, then I think Parsons had like 2 sacks in that game, but I think he only got attributed with one.
I think maybe if the quarterback never establishes, but like if it's a bad snap, it just goes right behind his head. And he just falls on it. He's not technically the quarterback on the play. He's just the person.
It's probably just
the
a
fumble.
tackle for loss.
So yeah, probably just TFL.
But that happened, so they had this really good drive where it was like, okay, the Giants' run game looks great, and the Cowboys' run defense looks terrible, and it just ends up with a field goal.
Yep.
That gets blocked, and then Noah Igbenogany, I don't even know how to say his last name properly.
You almost had it.
Noah.
You can say
Noah
Igbo or Noah Igbo or Igbo.
I'm just gonna call him Noah.
Yep.
We're close like that.
Yeah.
But the guy that we traded for after the preseason, like right after the preseason, we trade Kelvin Joseph, a guy that I thought could still work out, but during the preseason, I started to give up on that hope. Yeah. But we trade him, and the guy we just traded for, picks up that that missed ball, and just runs it all the way back for a touchdown. And at that point, it's like, ooh, Giants' whole energy shifted.
Yeah, that is a momentum changer right there.
Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, Trayvon Diggs forces 2 turnovers. He hits Saquon that has the ball fly up. He gets picked off, returned for a touchdown. The best single play from the Giants was a pass to Isaiah Hodgins that Trayvon Diggs eventually runs up behind him and rips the ball out, causing another fumble. Parsons was Micah Parsons, disrupting the entire Giants offensive line. And the thing that I liked, the Cowboys' offensive line looked really good.
Yeah.
I mean, the Giants are supposed to have a good defensive line, especially on the interior with Dexter Lawrence, and Zach Martin was pushing that man around. Obviously, Zach Martin, that's not a surprise.
No.
Zach Martin's best guard in the NFL.
He's been a dog since he was drafted.
But still, pushing around that Giants defensive line, I think, is something of note. Yeah, they didn't push around an Eagles defensive line
Yeah.
or a Niners defensive line, but they did push around a solid unit, and be able to push them around like that is really good looking forward. And then for the Giants, I mean, there's not much to talk about because there's not much good.
Yeah.
I had picked them to make the playoffs, and I know you're not supposed to overreact to 1 week, but it's hard to not immediately regret that decision.
Granted, I think that game was more of a positive indictment on what the Cowboys are this year than necessarily a negative indictment. Because, yes, okay, obviously, putting up a goose egg is never... I think they're the only team that didn't score a single point this week.
I believe you're correct.
Yes, because at least Cincinnati had a field goal.
Yeah.
So, obviously, being currently last in the NFL in points scored is not a favorable position to be in.
Yeah.
But again, there was a lot of bad football. Like this year, I think in general, of course, we'll get into it more as we talk about the rest of the games, but looking around the league, I felt a lot worse about the Titans' performance because everybody sucked, it felt like.
You think you felt better?
I felt a lot better about the Titans because everybody else was bad. Like, unless you're 49ers... Cowboys or who else won convincingly? Packers, I guess.
And then Browns won by a good margin, but we'll get into it. But
well,
I'll just say right now, you don't feel
home underdogs
great.
and divisional games in week 1. It's kind of a thing. It's usually a good sign for the home underdog. Yeah. So you never bet the favored road team in a week 1 divisional matchup. Always bites you in the butt.
And I don't want to write the Giants season completely off because they do have Brian Daboll, a head coach that I have a lot of respect for. But Daniel Jones is your quarterback, and I'm trying to remember the stat because the Giants started last season like 6-1, and then after that was not as good. It was 13 games. I think I forgot what it was, but it was not a winning record. And it looks like that second half of the season is going to carry on more than the first half.
Yeah. Well. All right, can we move on, or do you have anything more to say about that game? You think?
Oh, I guess I will say one more thing because I watch some of the talking shows, especially when it's Cowboy clips they have up, and some people were talking about that the Cowboys' offense didn't look good, which was I forgot who it was on First Things First. It was the one white dude in a suit who every time I see him speak, I absolutely fucking hate him. I don't remember his name, but he annoys me so much. But he didn't like the Cowboys' offense, but it was like they ran it well. Yeah. And Dak barely threw it. I don't remember his
24 pass attempt, 13 of 24, I think. Not the best game in the world, but he didn't have to do much.
And also with the percentage, I just this happens for every quarterback. So you don't want to excuse it too much, but I just remember vividly some tight end drops. Like multiple tight end drops from the Cowboys. But he led 3 touchdown drives, two Tony Pollard runs, and then a Kevontae Turpin run, and then I think 2 field goal attempts. So in terms of the offense being productive, it was, but also we didn't have the ball much because our defense was scoring, special teams are scoring, leaving the Giants offense on the field for a long time. That's one of the few times time of possession is bad. Because your offense wasn't doing good. It wasn't that they were running the ball, killing the clock. It's that they kept turning it over, letting the other team score, so you just stayed on the field the whole game. Yeah.
Time of possession, I think, can sometimes be like a bit of an overrated indicator. Like
100%.
The Tennessee Volunteers, for example, had the number 1 offense in college football last year, and they were pretty low in terms of time of possession, but that's just because they ran a high-tempo offense, and they're never going to lead the team, the game in time of possession.
It's like, sorry, we didn't keep the ball long. We scored in 3 plays. Our bad.
Sorry, Jalen Hyatt just torched the defense for 80 yards. Like, speaking of that, did not happen in the Cowboy. He had 0 catches.
Interesting name to pick up.
Yeah, 0 catches in this game. But I think
and I was ready to excuse. I was ready to excuse some of the quarterback play, at least in terms of passing, just because of the rain. Yeah. But. It was it was like so fun for the first couple minutes for me, and then it was just boring because I'm like, this is disgusting.
Yeah, the first Sunday night football game of the year, and it's just an absolute like trouncing. Like that's tough.
And people had to watch the Cowboys be good.
Yeah, NFL Memes IG just deleted a 12 terabyte folder like halfway through the game. He's like, it's over. I can't recycle the
and now
10
we
years
play
worth of memes.
And then we play Zach Wilson next.
Yep. God, he lasted 4 plays behind a Keith Carter coached up. What did I tell you
We'll
about
get,
Keith Carter?
we'll get to it. We'll
I
get
told
to
you.
it.
I told you. I
But
fucking
now
told you.
the floor
All
is
right.
yours to talk
All
about
right. So you mentioned
Titans at
something
Saints
about being ready to excuse quarterback play a second ago. Under
because of the
no
rain.
circumstances am I ready to excuse. There's no rain in the dome. All right. Under no circumstances am I ready to excuse quarterback play. You also
I'm just gonna
mentioned.
sit back and drink my water.
I'm
Right,
gonna
go
say
off.
I'm gonna say one positive thing before I grill the fuck out of my quarterback that I just made a video talking about how good he would be like 36 hours before kickoff.
Oh
But
my gosh.
you mentioned the Giants started 6-1 last year. Had Nick Folk been on this Titans team last year, the Giants would have started 5-2 because Randy Bullock, the missed game winner he had, Nick Folk would have hit that shit. He was 5 of 5 against New Orleans, scored all 15 of the Titans points. He started
Mm-hmm.
the game with a 50-yard field goal, which is reportedly what he had been struggling with. Is that was the narrative around Nick Folk was that he couldn't hit from 50 anymore because he's washed. But he
Mm.
was actually pretty accurate from 50 plus
Yeah.
last year. I think it was like 4 or 5,
If I
and
had to guess, I would assume he's the number one kicker in fantasy right now.
probably because he was kicking like he had a couple. I think he had another one that was like 40 something yards. He had a 50-yarder, and I think he hit 3 that were like 30ish yarders. Because I know Tennessee got into the red zone 3 times, and of course failed to convert all 3 times. So they settled for
Mm.
field goal every time. But so that means he kicked 2 field goals outside the red zone. One of them was a 50-yarder. One of them was shorter than that, but still a decent length field goal. But um, there is one guy, only one individual. I guess, actually, hang on. I'll get one more thing before I grill my quarterback. I'll address the elephant in the room that I think you mentioned at the start of the pod. The zebras in this game were not
Yeah.
very kind to us, outside of one interaction towards the end of the game. And it was a huge one. It was a third down play for the Saints. Derek Carr threw it deep downfield, and Elijah Molden got away with a defensive pass interference. However, I've seen Saints fans saying, okay, that excuses the 10-point swing that happened earlier in the game. First of all, that's not how math works. No, the fuck it doesn't. That was not a 10-point play, no matter how you slice it. All right, that's one. Olave probably wouldn't have caught that without the interference because it was way out. It was still pretty out in front of him. It would have been a tough catch. I mean, Olave is capable of making that catch,
Mm-hmm.
but more than likely it would have
That's
been
my
incomplete regardless.
fantasy wide receiver right there.
But even if you so let's say, all right, they call that penalty, or they should have at least, and it would have been a first and goal. What about Ryan Tannehill's second interception, where there was a clear defensive pass interference, where that would have also given the Titans first and goal? So
Mm.
okay, so that's a makeup call. Actually, those two cancel out. So the 10-point swing of the Derek Carr fumble not fumble that was a Kevin Byard touchdown that was blown dead that ended up being a Saints field goal. That's a 10-point swing. That play still happens, and there's no makeup call for that. That is a huge call. And I was watching, like you said, sometimes you watch talk shows if they talk about your team. The one guys that
Mm.
always talk about us are Chris Sims and Mike Florio on Pro Football Talk because Chris Sims, former Titans quarterback, Titans legend, some might say. Chris Sims, not really, but Nepo baby Chris Sims, definitely some might say. I would argue, but Chris Sims does talk about Tennessee quite a lot, and I respect to those guys because they're very informed on the team that when they do talk about them. But they both agreed, and even everybody else in the office apparently over there agreed. The only reason that call wasn't overturned when Mike Vrabel challenged it, when the only reason they doubled down was so that they wouldn't have to admit that they were wrong in blowing the ball dead.
Mm.
Because once Kevin Byard picked it up, the whistles already started blowing before he even took off running. So they were saying the only reason was probably pride, is why they had to double down on the ruling on the field because then they would have had to get absolutely grilled for not letting the call play out. So they just had to double down and say, no, we were right, that wasn't a fumble. But
Mm.
ironically enough, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm like 99% sure it was Arden Key who forced the fumble on Josh Dobbs in week 18 last year. It was Arden Key again, week 1 of this year, who does the exact same thing to Derek Carr. The play looks exactly the same. Ball comes out, but his arm pushes it forward, but he clearly doesn't have control of the ball when his arm goes forward. And for some reason, the precedent that was set in week 18 last year gets completely ignored in week 1 the following year, and somehow the same team gets fucked both times. Can you make that make sense to me, please? That's ridiculous. That is insane. But
Uh,
now that I've gotten my initial zebra rant out of the way, I cannot, in good conscience, blame this game on the officiating because Tennessee had every opportunity, especially in the second half, to not only win this game, but win it convincingly.
Mm-hmm.
If you look here, so fun fact, actually, the Cowboys had 3 players in the top 6 in pressure percentage in the league. Number one of all players, however, was the
Titans.
aforementioned Arden Key. Arden
Mm-hmm.
Key led the league. I think he even him and Dorrance Armstrong were tied for pass rush win rate or pressure rate or whatever. But also,
Something like
Arden
that.
Key had 11 pressures in this game. 11. Trevor Penning should be playing in the CFL. Maybe. I don't even know if he's good enough to be in the CFL. Trevor Penning got abused today. But yeah, Arden Key and Danico Autry just absolutely worked him. Jeffrey Simmons had a sack. Landry didn't do much, but he's still coming off the ACL. He played I think 56 snaps, but he didn't do a whole lot as far as impacting maybe the pass rush. But he doesn't really have to. The pass rush is deeper than it's ever been this year. So Tennessee's defensive line dominated the first half. New Orleans called a much better, I think, adjusted well in the second half. The Tennessee definitely wasn't getting as much pressure, and Derek Carr has always had a pretty quick release. His
Mm-hmm.
clock is faster than most quarterbacks. He's in terms of like time to throw, he's always been in the top half of the league of getting the ball out quicker than anybody else. So to Derek Carr's credit as well, we would have had more sacks in the first half. We had 4, we should have had 5. We've already talked about the highway robbery that was the no fumble call, but there would have been more had Carr not been getting the ball out as fast as he was. And the Bowie, stop messing with my. Okay, sorry about that. Um, Carr was getting the ball out fast, and our secondary for the most part held up pretty well. In fact, I mean, watching the game live, it looked as if Tennessee had won in the trenches, but actually lost outside. But Tennessee won outside too, according to this chart I was just looking at. Tennessee. Let me find the exact verbiage here, so I don't sound like a fucking idiot. In terms of offensive perfectly covered faced percentage and defense perfectly covered percentage, Tennessee was ahead of New Orleans in both,
Mm.
which means Tennessee was covering better more often, and Tennessee's receivers were getting open more often. The
Yeah.
reason it didn't look like that during the game is because, unlike Ryan Tannehill, Derek Carr was looking at and hitting his receivers when they were open. There
Mm-hmm.
was I think it was Rashid Shaheed twice and Chris Olave quite a few times, but
Mm-hmm.
Shaheed beat Sean Murphy Bunting for a touchdown. It was kind of a coverage bust. He was pretty butt booty naked open in the end zone there. And
Yeah,
then
I think he went like 5 for 80
yeah,
with the
and then,
touchdown.
yeah, something like that. And then Olave had like 8 for 119 or 109 or something. Olave or 112 or
112.
yeah,
Yeah, I pulled it up right
yeah,
now.
yeah. So I know Olave had a fantastic game as well. But
Yep.
if you watch if you so the again I was talking earlier about the missed DPI call on New Orleans on Ryan Tannehill's what I believe was his second interception. But that shouldn't even be a conversation to be had because in the same line as Chris Moore, who Ryan Tannehill randomly forced the ball to in double coverage, Chigo Okonkwo was butt booty naked, wide ass open in the same line. He was behind Chris Moore on the same side of the field, and Ryan Tannehill still didn't see him. Same
Mm.
side of the field. He was right there. There's no way Tannehill couldn't have looked at him because he was
Yikes.
right there where Chris Moore was, but he was underneath the safety in the corner. He was wide open, screaming open, and Tannehill doesn't even see it somehow. And then on the
Yeah, both
third
players you named neither have a single reception.
And then on the third interception, where he forced the ball to DeAndre Hopkins, he tried throwing a back shoulder. Paulson Adebo just turned around. It was the easiest interception he'll ever have in his career, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Um, on the other side of the field, had Tannehill bothered to go through his progressions at all in this game, he was really zeroing in on Hopkins a lot, which is why he had so many targets. He had like 12 or 13 targets. He only had 7 catches. Hopkins played an okay game overall, but had he not forced it to Hopkins for no reason, he would have seen Traylon Burks with not a defender within 15 yards of him on the left side of the field. But he zeroed in on Hopkins the whole game, and so it looks like, and to the
Which is
credit of
fine.
New Orleans played great man coverage for the most part in this game. They were very sticky, especially in the first half. And I will concede that in the first half, Tannehill did not have much to work with, at least
Mm-hmm.
not until later in the second quarter or so. But Tim Kelly made some adjustments. He started scheming guys open. All of a sudden, you see Chig get open a lot. You see Traylon get open a lot. Where Tyjae Spears got open a few times. You're seeing guys get open. Derrick Henry had a 46-yard screen like run. So you get plays like this, guys get open in space, but Tannehill just wasn't making his reads. He didn't look comfortable behind the offensive line, and the offensive line that some people were partially blaming for this loss is right now third in the league in run block win rate and fifth in the league in pass block win rate. So how does the blame fall
Yeah,
on the O line? They were
I
really
don't
good.
know how you blame anything but a quarterback who throws 3 interceptions.
Well, it's not just the three intercept because Ryan Tannehill. Like we can look at the playoff game against the Bengals a couple years ago
Mhm.
where he had 3 interceptions, but the context behind these interceptions matters a lot
Of
because
course.
and for one he also had some really nice throws in that game, including the touchdown pass to AJ Brown, which was a better catch than it was a throw, but it was still a really nice throw over two defenders to get right in AJ to where only AJ Brown could get it, but Tannehill had no throws like that in this game. He and really he should have had more than 3 interceptions. His arm strength looks completely cooked. He threw 2 or 3 passes
Mhm.
where the DB closed out on it, got a hand on it, but it couldn't catch it. But those could have easily been interceptions because he was just floating it out there every time. Nobody, like anybody, could have caught these.
So let me ask you this: how many more of games like this do you have to watch before you start demanding Will Levis to go in?
If it is this bad next week, because there are some things about Tannehill's performance on Sunday that are fixable,
Mhm.
because he can go through his progressions. He can stop creating his own pressure.
Did he play in the preseason at all?
3 snaps, they were all handoffs in the third game. So
Okay,
that granted, Kenny
some
Pickett
rusty
played a
kickoff.
lot the Steelers did not look ready to play, and they
We'll
played
get
the
to
whole
that
preseason.
later.
Mike Tomlin said something about it's hard to box without sparring, but that
I
sparring
think he
did
got
them no
knocked
good. They
out
got
in
the
the
shit
sparring.
they got the shit kicked out of them against the probably the best team in the league right now, but we'll get to that later, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
But some things that Tannehill did are fixable, but the offensive line is not. But Peter Skoronski was phenomenal in his first. That man is league ready, and I think those
Mhm.
those comments people are making, the general maybe not consensus, but a popular opinion was Skoronski could be a really good tackle, but he just might be an All-Pro guard.
I've heard that.
He
Yeah.
looks like he could be an All-Pro caliber guard based on this first game. He was dominating
Hmm.
today, or not today, excuse me, on Sunday. He looked fantastic. Chris Hubbard, um, nobody beat Chris Hubbard at all. He had a 100% pass block win rate against New Orleans, currently highest in the league, of course. He he was fantastic. Andre Dillard was easily the most disappointing player on the offensive line, but he wasn't outright terrible. He was just a little below average. But Daniel Brunskill played pretty well, and Aaron Brewer played pretty well. So that's 4 out of 5 offensive linemen who all had good games. You can't blame the offensive line. I understand left
Right.
tackle is important, but Dillard wasn't terrible. You can't blame the offensive line. The offensive line, especially against a pass rush as good as New Orleans, Cam Jordan's obviously no scrub. I mean, they've got players on this defensive line, so you can't say the offensive line was the reason we lost this game. The offensive line was for the most part really good. Tim Kelly was also not the reason we lost this game because receivers kept getting open. He kept scheming them open,
Hmm.
and Tannehill either missed them, like he missed Chigo Conko. It was like kind of like a flea flicker. It was weird. It was almost like pitched twice before it got back to Tannehill, and then Chigo Conko was running up the field. He was beating Demario Davis, and Tannehill just overcooks it. He misses him, and that would have been a walk-in touchdown for Chigo Conquo. And then you have another play, which would have been probably a 50-yard catch for Tyjae Spears, where again he throws it high and to the left to where it's almost out of bounds. Even if Tyjae had caught this pass miraculously, it would have been a circus catch if he did. His ass cheek landed out of bounds, so it would have been incomplete regardless. So Tyjae really had no chance at that ball, and he was wide open. There was no like spot where Ryan Tannehill just had to fit it in. He could have just thrown it in the general direction of Spears as long as it was inside the playing field. Spears could have caught it, but he threw it way too high and way too far to the left. It was out of bounds. So Spears had no chance at this. He got a hand on it. He tried. He gave a great effort, but it's again what Tannehill can fix. He can fix the accuracy, and he can
Okay.
fix just looking like we were gaslit this offseason into thinking Tannehill had total command of this Tim Kelly offense because that was the report all offseason long was that Tannehill knew it almost as well as Tim Kelly did, and Tannehill was the one communicating to everybody else. This is what this word means in this system. This is what we're running right now. This is like Tannehill. learned the playbook way faster than everybody else did, and he was communicating to everyone else. It sure as fuck didn't look like it. He looked like he was the only one out there who didn't know what the hell was going on. He was
Right.
constantly walking into his own pressure, not going through his progressions, just keying in on Hopkins, who was, to be quite honest, Marshawn Lattimore easily won the day on Hopkins. Which, of course, yeah, he's younger, he's more athletic, and he's a very just sound man coverage corner.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins is getting up there in age. He was never a burner to begin with, but especially now, he's
Mhm.
not a fast guy. But I mean, he's still got strong hands, which he did display. He's still a good route runner. I think he's going to be a very good receiver this year, and he's already looking pretty good. But what we saw from just Tannehill almost trusts him too much. This is not 2017, 2018 DeAndre Hopkins.
Mhm.
This is like he's older. He's a little
Yeah.
different. He's gonna have more of a Larry Fitzgerald type career arc. He's gonna be
Which
he's
is a
gonna
great arc to
for
have.
sure, but he's gonna have he's not necessarily an alpha X receiver. He's gonna have more of a role, more of a defined role than just number one receiver.
Yeah.
It's a little more niche. It's a little more specific, and Tannehill's treating him like he's still the true X. So I know we've been running pretty long here on this. I'm gonna wrap it up here in a
And
minute.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you said it and I missed it,
Yeah,
but I don't quite remember if you got the answer
yeah.
to my question of how many more Tannehill games like
Oh, okay.
this.
So no, I never quite got around to that. Sorry,
I think you
ADHD
were like
brain.
one more,
But
and then you went on a
so
different.
we can't see one more game of this in general. But
Mhm.
what Tannehill can correct, of course, he can correct the accuracy. He can correct, the panicking that he was doing in the pocket.
Mhm.
He can't correct the arm strength.
Right.
His arm simply looks weaker than it has the last few years. Even in the last couple of years when Tannehill didn't necessarily have the best year, his arm strength never faltered. He wasn't he was still, putting zip on the ball when he needed to, fitting windows. He couldn't do that today, and that's why he almost
Mhm.
threw 5 or 6 interceptions. The DBs
Yeah.
could close out faster and he could get the ball there. His arm is cooked. He is going to have to either play a different way where he is, kind of what Drew Brees did in his last year, where he
Mhm.
just had to. Which Tannehill's always been more of an efficient kind of quarterback, regardless. I don't know what he's doing, getting away from it, but he's
I
not
mean,
playing
you know
his
who has a strong arm?
William Donovan Levis
Yeah, he does.
and Malik Willis. We've got two quarterbacks sitting behind him that both have absolute howitzers who can fit these windows that Tannehill can no longer fit. And I'm fairly certain at least one of them can read the field better than Tannehill did. Because
Yeah.
God, this is a historically awful performance. Easily his worst game as a Titan, probably the worst game of his career. And you almost feel bad. Well, not almost. I do feel bad because I think Ryan Tannehill playing behind such terrible offensive lines his entire career has finally caught up with him in terms of what
Mhm.
it's done to his mental when he's playing quarterback, when
Yeah.
he's lined up back there.
Clock got sped up.
Well, especially when he's in shotgun, he does not look nearly as comfortable running shotgun as he does under center. Because what we've done the last 4 years with him is go under center. We ran mostly shotgun on Sunday. That's Tim Kelly's offense. This is much more pro style. This is not a Shanahan offense with, under center, play action. Like this, we ran a little bit of play action, but not nearly as much as you'd expect from Tennessee. And Tannehill did not look comfortable being put in true passing situations where he has to pick apart the defense, and that's just not what he does. And honestly, I think at this point, Malik Willis and Will Levis are both better scheme fits for this offense. So if
Yeah.
he puts up another goose egg versus the Chargers, you bench him against the Chargers. But if he improves a little bit, but you should give him more time. I'm not ready to say I'm completely done with him, but another performance like this, I am completely done with him. And if it doesn't improve, I don't expect the arm strength to get better. But if he can't be accurate and he can't just can't read the defense as a 35-year-old veteran NFL starter, you can't just go through your reads. You need to be set down because he was the only detriment to this team. Offensive line played well, defensive line played well, secondary played well, wide receivers got open, both running backs ran hard. You literally can't blame anyone else on this team. It's Ryan Tannehill. So I've said my piece, I think.
Totally. So I guess the final, I'll have this. It's pretty much it's very similar to the previous question, but just final question. Then we'll move on to the next game. Is your gut telling you that Tannehill doesn't finish the season as a starter? Just a yes or no of does he finish the season as the starter?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. Am I
Yeah,
allowed to
I
elaborate
would
just a
assume.
little bit here?
Yeah, no, of course. I
Okay.
just wanted to make
All
sure
right. No, no, I
I got the
understand.
answer.
Yes. Okay. So the Mike Vrabel after the game initially seemed in a pretty good spirits, which is where usually after a loss he's pretty bummed out, but he was in good spirit. Maybe it's because he knows the rest of the team played really well, but even then he
Yeah.
didn't even remotely throw Tannehill under the bus in the initial press conference, but like the post game presser. But on Monday, when one of the reporters, I think it was Jim White, I don't remember which one, but reporter asked him, why do you think Tannehill was so off? And he goes, I have no idea why Tannehill was so off, but he needs to play better. It's like, that's the complete fucking opposite of what you said yesterday. Yesterday, you said it was a team effort, but I think what happened was Mike Vrabel probably watched the tape and went, O-line played well, D-line played well, secondary played well, outside of a couple of coverage busts with Rashid Shaheed, and then, running backs ran hard, wide receivers got open. Shit, it was just Tannehill, and it was. If you watch the all 22,
Yep.
it is just Tannehill. It's just Tannehill. Everybody, and Andre Dillard, didn't have the best game, but it is the only player you can blame this game on. Tannehill, hands down. And honestly, to some degree, it makes me feel better about the team, but it also
Because everything else is good.
it's just a total like sinking feeling that because Tannehill, any version of Tannehill over the last 4 years plugged into this offense, we would have won the game by at least 2 scores. But
Yeah.
the Tannehill we saw on Sunday versus it's just not the same player. And if I'm not saying he can't be that guy, I don't want to make a week one overreaction because it's not like week one Ryan Tannehill has been perfect. There was the Cardinals game a couple years ago, and we went on to be the 1 seed that year. But
Yeah, week 1 is just hard to
gauge anything.
It's hard to tell what's real and what's not.
This is going to be an interesting,
especially with decreasing amount of like players playing in the preseason.
This is going to be an interesting dissection of the rest of the games here because we can say some shit that will not be true in a month from now. So
yep.
Let's get
starting with a powerhouse in the AFC, the powerhouse in the AFC losing when the Detroit Lions beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead banner night 21-20. Yep. Are the Lions that good or are the Chiefs that bad? That's how we'll start this off.
Well, you and I actually both picked Detroit to win this game, so this didn't surprise either of us.
As soon as Travis Kelce was out, I said, okay, I'm switching to the Lions.
I did the exact same time. Like, no Chris Jones, no Kelce. That's 2 of their 3 best players. Yep, Detroit's going to win this one. So this isn't shocking either. I think both things, well, I was going to say both things can be true, but then I remember you said that Chiefs are just that bad. I don't think the Chiefs are bad. However, I do think it was realistic to expect the Chiefs to start a little slow this year because of... especially without Travis Kelce, because you got Richie James, Kadarius Toney, you got the Daniel Jones B team out there. Not even the good receivers he's been throwing to, the shit ones.
You got the Giants rejects.
Yes, the guys the Giants didn't want at receiver. And then you've got MVS, who has always had an issue with his hands, and I think he dropped a couple against Detroit. Because that's just who he is. He's athletic, he's talented, he's going to make plays, but he's never going to be consistent. That's just not the football player that he is. Somebody who surprised me a little bit was Rashee Rice. He played, but I thought he would, if he was going to even be productive his rookie season, I thought it was going to take him a while. He had a pretty good game to start his career off, but Mahomes played mostly well. I mean, by his standards, it wasn't his best game, but the receivers did him no favors.
Running out. Yeah,
absolutely no favors. I mean, they dropped a lot of passes. He only missed on a couple. They dropped way more than he missed on. And
it still wasn't quite up to Mahomes' standard, but it was still a good game from a quarterback.
Yes, if
those receivers,
anybody else under there, you would have said it's a pretty good game. But because it's Mahomes, obviously the bar is a little higher.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah, the defense played okay. I mean,
I thought the defense played really good.
Yeah, I think...
Granted, because I am also factoring in that it is the Lions, and I think the Lions last year had a really good offense, and I think they probably are going to have a better one this year.
When
I think
Jameson
they upgraded...
Williams gets back, especially. That's going to be lethal.
So 21 without Chris Jones comes back. I mean, that defense... I think that defense could finish like top 10.
Chris Jones wins them that game if he plays. Like if he wasn't holding out, which is probably why they extended him immediately immediately
Yeah.
afterwards because
I
they
mean,
know
if they
damn
just
well.
have
I mean,
either Chris Jones
or
or
Kelsey,
Travis Kelsey
because
in,
Kelsey would have given
just one.
Mahomes anybody to throw to with like consistent reliability. Either of those
With
players wins this game for sure.
with just Travis Kelsey, they might have scored 40 just because.
Yeah, because he's so good at he's so good at finding those holes in the zone that nobody else can do, except maybe Dalton Kincaid. I didn't really watch the game, but that's what he did in college. So maybe he rounds out into like Kelsey Jr. at some point in his career. But
I tuned out and then back in, so we'll get into it. But
we'll talk about that later.
Of that game.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I got something to say actually about that game.
I think the only other thing of note I'll have for the Lions game is that Jahmyr Gibbs, on his per touch basis, was incredible. I thought he looked really good out there.
He looked great. Awesome. There was that one play where he cut so hard that he fell over.
Yeah,
that was the only one where it's like, yeah, he's a rookie, like that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, even on that play, like had he not tripped over himself, that was a touchdown. Like,
dude,
he's just
my emotions watching
else.
That was crazy because he cuts really hard, and I'm like, oh shit! And
oh yeah,
I
saw I remember you texted me, but I remember watching the play, and I'm like, yeah, he's just faster than the other guys on the field, and then he just falls over. Like
he falls over because
as soon as you saw the cut, he's like, yeah, he's getting around those defenders. But a split second later, no, he's on the ground, and it's like, well, I guess
that was.
I mean, not getting around
he had a really good start to his NFL career. Maybe not the crazy production you would expect from a first round running back, but per touch basis looked amazing.
Sam Laporta had a decent game as well.
He had
He had a nice impact in his first game.
He's a guy that, for fantasy, I was like, if Musgrave isn't available, I'm going to take Laporta.
Musgrave had a good game for us too. We both started him, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we did. I had Darren Waller, who was originally supposed to start, and then I said, he's playing the Cowboys. I don't want to have to act. I don't have to weirdly root for him while he plays my team.
I hate that so much in fantasy.
And he had like an injury right before the game, so I was like, all right, I'll swap out Musgrave for Waller. Great decision.
Yep.
It was even. I don't even think it was actually a major point difference, but it was the better decision to make.
I actually started both Drake London and T. Higgins, who combined for 0 points, and I still beat Gabe. I still beat him.
We'll get into the fantasy later.
Yeah,
I know. I brought it up first.
Yeah,
but
no, it's
we'll
okay.
Get into it later.
We'll continue later. But
so now,
overall, good game. Good game. I was happy to see Detroit win it, though.
Yeah, but now we're gonna start. We're gonna start with the winning teams.
Yes.
Next up, we do have the Cleveland Browns defending the home territory 24-3 against the Cincinnati Bengals. So the first thing of note is Miles Garrett is good at football.
That's breaking news, man. You're
I know.
I wasn't aware, but
just in case you didn't know, he went to Texas A&M, so I keep up with him every now and then. But yeah, it's a little under the radar, but he's actually pretty good. He's so good, he'll just hezzy fake.
Yeah.
While he's waiting for the snap to go off and then get pressure right up the middle.
He's incredible, man. Yeah, that is just a true dog out there. I think if with health, he might be the best pure edge in the league. I think he is better than TJ Watt and Nick Bosa. I think if he played all 17 games every year, I think we'd see
100%. What a loaded position in the NFL to try to decide.
For one game, I think is how you decide this. If you take one game of a guy at his best, do you take Myles Garrett over Nick Bosa and TJ Watt? I would, for one game, personally. I would take Myles Garrett.
I need to see how many 3-sack games they all have, because I know TJ Watt produces those a lot.
I suppose, TJ Watt is a really good,
and I know it's more than just sacks, but
like individual guy, like for like standout games. But I don't know. Myles Garrett, I think is.
If you were building a defensive
about
end,
Myles Garrett, like you just look at him, he just looks like a football guy, right? Like, man, that is an athlete right there.
Now, can we stop praising Myles Garrett and get onto at least the negative of the Browns with Deshaun Watson, our favorite quarterback in the NFL?
Our favorite quarterback. He threw one of the worst interceptions you will ever see. He actually did a decent job of just evading pressure, and then throws this really ugly interception like straight to the defender. Didn't even try to fit it over top of it. I have no idea what he was doing. But
he was helping our narrative.
Well, he wasn't helping my wallet. I was doing prize picks. I had him at under 18 fantasy points. He had like 19 and a half or something. I
Oh,
wouldn't have won anyways because Dalton Schultz didn't get four
oh yeah,
catches. So
because he ran for a touchdown.
yeah, it's tragic.
But yeah, Deshaun Watson is looking like last year Deshaun Watson and not
Yep.
Texans Deshaun Watson, which is good. And I think, I don't know at what point we should talk about the divisions and how these games kind of stack out, but I picked the Bengals to win, and I honestly am not concerned about that pick after week one.
Yep.
Partly because I know that the Ravens won, and we'll get into that, but it wasn't they won, so that is concerning, but it wasn't the level of play that makes me concerning. And
Yeah.
then Pittsburgh, wow, we'll get into that one too.
Yeah,
But
Cincinnati,
yeah,
this is they did this last year in Week 1. Joe
not
Burrow
to
had
this level,
no, but
but
it's
that is why I'm not concerned.
I don't
They
think
started
it's
0
yeah
2 last year.
I don't think it's realistic to expect the Bengals have fallen off. Like no, they're gonna be in the playoffs. They're gonna be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, didn't really play in the preseason. If this was another quarterback, I think the only quarterbacks that I would not be concerned about this performance was if Mahomes came out week one and did this, and Joe
Yeah.
Burrow came out week one and did this. Those are probably like the only two.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's obviously not good because they did lose, and it is a tough division. It's a tough conference, but the Bengals lost, the Chiefs lost, and the Bills lost. So
Right.
I still feel good about them potentially getting the 1 seed. There is an AFC team that I saw play that made me go, oh shit, they might get the 1 seed
Yeah.
with how they're playing. So that's concerning. So the concern switched from the three usual suspects that everyone had of Bills, Chiefs,
Yeah.
Bengals to another team, which I won't name. I'll
Not
let
until
people
we
try
get
to
there,
guess.
I'm sure. I
But
have a
yeah,
guess actually, but
I
I'll
feel like
talk
you'd
about
know.
it. I'll talk about it when we get there.
Yeah. But do you want to move on to the next game, or do you have anything else you want to add to this one?
I don't have much else to say. There's not much that needs to be said. Obviously, Cleveland won in convincing fashion.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important not to overreact to this game. I mean, Cleveland played a very good game, and in
Yeah.
general, it's not like Cleveland is like I think we both had them finishing fourth. Cleveland's not a bad roster
No,
by any
we
means.
we
This
were very
roster
aware
is
of like
awesome.
they're
Like
decent, but it's
there's
just
depth at
the
wide
division.
receiver. The secondary's got pieces. The defensive line's awesome. Miles Garrett especially. It's just Deshaun Watson is. Well, is he the worst quarterback in the division? Now, Kenny Pickett kind of looked like
Yeah, at
terrible
least
against.
Deshaun
I don't know.
Watson. Yeah.
Let's
So,
see.
but let's stay in the AFC North and
Yeah.
move on to the Ravens
Yeah.
hosting and beating the Texans 25-9.
Zay Flowers has arrived. That is my
That-
that is my takeaway. Zay Flowers is fucking here.
I am a believer now. I didn't believe in him before, but I was like, development time, all this other bullshit that doesn't matter anymore because he's you just got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have no points of concern for that, but it's just that's how it is with everybody.
Lamar wasn't great in this game, but I don't. Again, that's react. There's no need to overreact. I think Lamar will be just fine this season. I think we're going to see very good football from. I mean, Todd Monken wasn't perfect either, calling the offense. But again, this is the first game with a new offensive coordinator. Let's give it some time. J.K. Dobbins, God does not want this man playing football. There is something about him. There's some entity is doing everything in their power to make him retire because he is just not allowed to be on the field.
You would think, honestly, he has to be considering it.
You'd have to.
I don't know how you're not, and I don't know how your mother doesn't call you like son.
Well, especially this is a contract year. This is a contract year. He ruptures his Achilles week 1. What do you do?
Tough.
What do you do? I mean, is Baltimore going to re-sign him? It's going to be a 1-year deal worth like $3 million if they do.
Because but the thing is, when it comes to considering retirement, he's like, well, what other job am I going out and getting $3 million for?
Yeah. So
he'll probably be back.
It's just the toll it's taking on his body.
Damn.
Yeah, it's up to him to decide if it's worth it or not. But dude, I mean,
even if it's just a couple $100,000,
you hate to see it. It's awful.
Yeah,
it's just
especially him because
he's so talented.
The upside is through the roof of what he could do at running back with playing with Lamar.
He always puts on a show. Whenever he is actually out there, he runs well. He looks explosive. He's a lot of fun, and it's just he can't catch a break.
Nope.
He just it's brutal. It is brutal.
Yeah. And now CJ Stroud, They had a rookie quarterback throw it 44 times. I didn't even know that. That is
An interesting decision.
a lot of throws,
Yeah,
especially
what,
when you have Dameon
242
Pierce.
yards, right? 242 yards.
That is right on the money. Yeah,
Yeah. How many? How did Pierce do?
he had 11 carries
That's weird. Was
for
he? Was he?
38 yards.
I guess maybe it wasn't working then with
I,
38
I
yards.
guess
Like
yeah.
the
I
running game
guess
wasn't really
early on they
going.
must have
But
realized Baltimore stuffing up the run. We're gonna have to throw it. But
you mean to
I
tell
don't
me?
know.
You mean to tell me C.J. Stroud had 44 pass attempts, but he couldn't get Dalton Schultz 4 catches? He couldn't. He couldn't throw me a bone, help me win
He had
$125.
2 catches
He
for
only had
4 yards.
two. Yeah, it's just well. You heard all camp about how they're like C.J. Stroud said that was his favorite target, and we saw it in the preseason that was his favorite target, and he had 2 fucking catches in week 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's always hard to try to think about or analyze a
Yep.
quarterback's first ever game in the NFL.
Yeah.
It wasn't a disastrous one. He will
No,
be a
not by any
trivia.
means.
He's going to be a trivia answer. Him and Brett Favre
Yep.
for first pass attempt being to themselves.
Yep.
So, I don't have too much to say. I didn't watch this one too much. Like I said, I was watching Red Zone. But Zay Flowers is really the main takeaway from this game.
He's that dude.
Yeah, he
You'd
was
love to
amazing.
see it. Yeah.
So let's see. We
Love
can
Zay
move on from
Flowers.
that one to where to go? Oh, Bucks Vikings. This one actually was pretty shocking,
This
and
was
there is a
a.
narrative.
This,
So we have to start with the winning team.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield played well enough. He did have some fire. He
Yeah.
had that one run where he pushes a guy down, tells him to get his weight
That
up.
was Byron Murphy or Byron Murphy or Andrew Booth? Is Murphy's on the Vikings? I think, right?
I don't remember who it was.
It was. I think Byron Murphy did sign with Minnesota. I don't remember if it was him.
But
or
it was
Booth,
just-
But it was one of those two. I think that he
it was
said,
just
get
a
your weight up,
peak-
little boy. Or whatever.
Yeah, it was just a peak Baker Mayfield moment.
That's what Tampa, Florida does to a man. By the way, that's what Tampa, Florida does to a man. All right, you live here long enough. That's what, especially as somebody who's already has the history that Baker has of being that kind of personality. It doesn't take much being in Tampa to bring that back. You know what I mean? Like it's there.
This is probably the best game to ask the question of, are the Bucks this good or are the Vikings that bad?
I think it's week 1, and I think Tampa might be better than maybe either of us gave them credit for.
Yeah,
because we
they
have
might
to
be a
remember
factor
there's-
in the division.
There's plenty of talent still on that Bucks roster. They lost some of it in the offseason, absolutely, but there's not. You know, Trey Palmer had a touchdown, another rookie wide receiver who made a nice play.
Yeah, did better than Jalen Hyatt.
I'd be angry if I wasn't notoriously low on Jalen Hyatt as a Vols fan. So, but Baker, like you said, played well enough to win the game. Kirk Cousins, had that ugly interception that you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like seeing it.
And the whole Justin Jefferson thing, he has. I'm trying to remember.
9
it was like
catches for 145. I'm pretty sure.
But it was like 7 catches for like 137, 38 in the first half.
Yeah. So
and then the second half, it's like 2 for 12.
Yeah.
And that's where the frustration on his part comes from.
Yeah.
It's like, why did I stop getting the ball?
Yep.
And as a fantasy owner of Justin Jefferson, I still won the.
Yeah.
Okay, I already spoiled it. But I did win.
Madison had a
week.
touchdown too. That's our guy right there.
I had him playing.
Guy. Yes, sir. Well, I would hope so. Yeah. I don't know how you bench Madison week 1, but.
And I needed that touchdown from him.
I did too. I only won by 7 points, I think, because of the London and Higgins goose eggs, respectively. But.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to say here. I just this is because it's such a weird game because the expectations for these two teams, the Vikings weren't expected. I mean, they weren't even being picked to win the division, but they were expected to be good, and the Bucks are expected to be the worst team in the NFL, and then the Vikings lose to them.
Yep.
So it's really hard to see. You just got to keep going
Well,
forward.
the Bucks definitely weren't the worst team. Arizona held that title, no question.
You're
about
right.
It. Yeah.
You are correct. That is true. But they were right there with them.
Yeah,
They was not too far off.
Supposedly, yeah, and it really came down to quarterback. What concerned me about Baker was that why did it take him that long to beat out Kyle Trask? Trask stinks.
Does he? Maybe we don't know.
To my knowledge, Trask stinks. But maybe that's just because I'm a bitter
maybe
Vols
because
fan and I don't like Kyle Trask.
Maybe the head coach was like, "Hey, I know how Baker works.
Yeah.
If we want this man to go off, we got to piss him off. We got to
We
make
gotta
him think
piss
this
him
is a
off.
real
Yeah.
competition.
I guess fair enough.
But also, the training camp footage came out where both quarterbacks were just missing. So it was like,
Yeah,
oh,
I remember,
that's why
like,
it was
yeah,
hard for him to beat him out.
Which
Yeah,
we're
did you
not
have-
going to see an elite season from Baker. That's just not in the cards.
No. That's
and he's
gone.
not in the long term plans either. But he can play well enough, I think, to maybe. It's not unrealistic to say they could push for the division title again this year. I think I wrote them off too early. It's a weak division. They have, excuse me, goodness, they have pieces. It's not impossible.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and talk about the in-division game between the Panthers and Falcons?
There's not much to say here because it is exactly the game I predicted it would be. Atlanta won, and they did it playing the exact brand of football everybody knew they were going to play. They were going to pound the rock, and pound the rock some more, and throw once in a blue moon, and then they're going to pound the rock some more. And
I'm not surprised that Algier is still getting work in the Falcons, but what did surprise me was that he out-carried Bijan Robinson.
Which was interesting, but, again...
And got the goal line work.
I think we're going to see that all year. I think Bijan is going to eventually take over as the bell cow, but Algier's still going to get the goal line work. Make no mistake about it.
Don't tell me that.
I'm telling you that. I'm sorry. If you're a Bijan fantasy owner, Algier's going to get the goal line
work. Get into that
later.
It
is what it is. Algier is going to get the goal line work because that is what he is.
But 6 catches for Bijan.
Including an 11-yard touch. Actually, at one point... Desmond Ridder had 5 completions for 9 yards, and one of them was an 11-yard touchdown to Bijan Robinson. So over the other 4 completions, that yielded -2 yards. So
yeah, well, on the stat sheet here, Desmond Ridder has 1 reception for -6. So I'm going to take a guess that it happened.
Pass as well.
Yeah,
interesting. Did he also throw into himself?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
It popped up in the air, and the announcer was like, why did he do that? He should have batted it down. Now they've lost yardage.
That probably happened.
It had to have.
Before the Bijan touchdown.
Bryce Young. 2 picks.
Young. Well, it's early. That's another,
yeah,
I think Bryce Young will be just fine.
I can't, I couldn't paint the picture of him, but I remember seeing some good plays from Bryce Young to go, okay, we lose, he's developing, but I can see why we took him and why we're going to continue to build around him.
Yep.
Hayden Hurst might be a guy to notice to try to pick up in fantasy. He did seem to be Bryce's favorite target, was also the only one to get a touchdown.
Makes sense. White boy tight end, default security blanket for any rookie quarterback. That's what it is.
All right.
Well, granted, did Adam Thielen did he play?
Like 2 catches for 12 yards.
Oh,
I was just looking at it right now.
You'd think he would have.
Which was interesting. I didn't do it in any league, but I did like the idea very late in fantasy leagues taking Adam Thielen, thinking that that's just going to be the reliable go-to, get fed a lot target from Bryce Young, and then
Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, but only 2 catches. Yeah. And tight end is a position that is usually weak. There are a lot of tight ends I actually do like in fantasy this year, though. But
well, in the NFL in general, there's not a lot of like truly productive tight ends. It's Kelsey, Kittle, Andrews.
It's always just
Waller.
Which tight ends get a touchdown?
It's
just
not a lot of them
the
get
most
more,
touchdown
not a lot
dependent
of them even
position.
eclipse 500 yards. There's only like 7 tight ends every year that get that many yards. So, but yeah, we can move on here
to Cardinals Commanders. Commanders won.
They did.
Sam Howell had moments that looked really good.
Yes.
And then he also had a terrible fumble that I'm trying to remember if that one got returned or not.
You know who else had a fumble in this game? You're never going to guess.
By the way, it was returned for a touchdown.
You know who else had a fumble in this game?
Was it Dobbs?
No, Antonio Gibson for the 800th career fumble in this game. Yeah. That man, ball security is not his strength. He can't stop fumbling the ball. Fortunately, because I want to like Gibson, but man, he has a huge issue with carrying the football throughout his whole career. It's always been an issue.
I liked Brian Robinson more already for them.
Neither of them had a great game. Robinson had 19 carries for 59 yards. Now, from what I was hearing, that was probably more on the O-line than necessarily Robinson.
I would not be surprised.
But I
But it
wouldn't
was
either.
it was closer than I thought it'd be. I do have some respect for the Commanders, and I had zero respect for the Cardinals going into this game. So the fact that it was a 4 point difference
Yeah.
for most of the game, it was pretty close.
I
Commanders pulled
still
away in the end.
I still don't have much respect for the Cardinals. They were cheap shotting Sam Howell for 4 quarters. There's quite a few of those in this game.
Yeah,
It was
but
not looking good.
maybe I don't know. I mean, I don't know. The Cardinals. This didn't change my opinion of them being in competition for the number 1 pick. It didn't do that, but it was a better game than I thought it'd be
Yeah.
in terms of closeness. It still wasn't a good game to actually watch.
Yeah. But it was like what 2016 was the score
Yep.
or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, you got all that memorized in your head.
I've got superpowers, man, with this shit.
Mm.
It's a thing. I'm like Rain
Now,
Man, but it's football, and that's
you
it.
ready to get into a little AFC South division rivalry game?
Actually, yes, because I think this game
Jags,
this was a
Colts.
fun one. This was a really fun one because
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Richardson played well, for the most part, played well, and
Yep.
I love to see it personally as a big Richardson. I don't love to see it as a Titans fan, but as somebody
Mm-hmm.
who one likes Shane Steichen, who maybe didn't coach his best game. He got really aggressive on 4th down for no reason. Jacksonville also failed some 4th down conversions in this game, but I don't know if sometimes rookie head coaches do this thing where they try to win the fan base over early, and
Which
I
is
don't know.
understandable.
Of course, I mean
But
it's something that because that's what you want to do. Because imagine if you get those 4th downs, then you're like, hell yeah, we got our
oh
guy.
yeah, I
But
mean, look at how the Lions think about Dan Campbell.
yeah,
That man went for it in his own 17, and he's getting praised because
17
as
yard
he
line,
should.
4th and 3, and then former Vol Jalen Reeves Maven gets the carry. Yes, sir. Vol's legend, the linebacker, gets a carry.
So first, we'll talk about the Jags
yeah.
here. Calvin Ridley
Is
looked
a
great.
dog, as he yeah.
I
Ridley's
thought
awesome.
that he could have like a top 5 fantasy wide receiver season.
I hope so.
I
I
don't-
drafted him. You
Same.
did too.
That's why I want him to
that's what I'm
have it.
saying. Yeah.
But he looked great. Definitely. I mean, Christian Kirk only had 1 catch. I was looking at the notes now. Is no longer the one, and he was a pretty decent one last year. But now you have Calvin Ridley, a real number 1 in there, and Trevor Lawrence is going to have a great season.
Yeah, I think based on some of the throws that I saw from Trevor Lawrence, I think he was just having fun with his new toy, which is why Christian Kirk
yeah.
only had 1 catch, because there were definitely some plays where like Lawrence was really just having fun out there. Like he hit some insane windows, but like he had somebody open on the other side where he just
cat flying around.
yeah he just jumped on my computer. But as long as he doesn't press the power button, he can hang out up there if he wants to. But yeah, well, if I cut out randomly, you know why. Hopefully the recording will be okay. But like Trevor was having a lot of fun for sure with Calvin Ridley. I think he was kind of like what we saw when Kyler Murray got DeAndre Hopkins, and you could literally see Murray smiling sometimes when he saw Hopkins get one-on-one coverage, and he would just chuck it down there. Like
Yeah.
Lawrence was doing that, but like fitting balls between 2 defenders. Pause. And Bowie, stop it. Come here. But Lawrence was having fun. I keep saying that, but I think we're going to see
he
Kirk.
was.
Kirk's going to have many good games this year. It's not like Kirk's going to be a forgotten man in this offense. Him and Lawrence have good chemistry. And I think it's good for Lawrence to get some reps in with Ridley. If you think you can fit that ball to him, and he could, throw it to Ridley, because you're going to want to build up that chemistry. So go ahead.
It seems like Zay Jones might be the number 2. You don't overreact to 1 week. Christian Kirk might take it back, but Zay Jones looked like the number 2 out there.
Did he have a higher snap count?
I don't know about snap count.
I mean, as far as when being a 2 or 3, I think this is the number 2 job is still Kirk's. I just think he didn't. I think Trevor was just having a good time throwing to Calvin Ridley because he's Calvin Ridley. He's awesome.
Yeah,
and then,
but Anthony Richardson threw the ball better than I thought he would his first game.
Yeah, that's that.
I didn't write him off as a passer.
That's what Shane Steichen does to a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yep. I keep forgetting to do the winners first. That was the thing I texted you about too before we started.
Yeah.
This, and I keep forgetting.
Well, I think we've done it.
Well,
I think the only one that we might not have was Chiefs.
I mentioned Richardson before I mentioned Trevor. You mentioned Trevor, which got me talking about him again. But
okay.
yeah, I gotta make a good mental note of it. But
yeah.
Yeah.
But is Anthony Richardson okay? I know he came out of the game.
He's questionable as of right now, I believe.
That's concerning.
I hope he's okay, but I don't think.
I don't think it
It's
definitely
nothing
wasn't
detrimental. We would have
serious.
already
Yeah,
gotten a notification that his season was over if it was something serious. I think it's
yeah.
just it's gonna be like a week to week thing. He's probably not missing next week.
Probably not.
But
I'm trying to
Minshew's
remember what happened. I just remember it just looked like he got the wind knocked out of him at first,
Yep.
but it might have just been a little harder than that. But I don't think it'll
Bowie,
be.
get down, get down, get down. You can't even reach there. There's nothing to. You're gonna fall. Why is my cat so orange? Oh my goodness.
Why is my dog so black?
What do you mean by that? Is Dirk laying in there with you? Always. Yeah.
He's under my bed.
He's a good boy.
Kind of see his butt.
I think I can. Yeah. Yeah. He's.
It's
good
just
boy.
it just looks black because that's all he is.
He's a good boy. But
he's great.
Yeah, Bowie's a good boy too. He just drives me nuts. But
yeah,
well,
Anthony Richardson had a really good debut.
Yeah,
For
I mean,
rookie quarterbacks, he might have had the best.
Yeah, I think he probably had the best day
because it's what him, Stroud, and Young.
Bryce,
yeah, he had the best. He had the best.
Which some of us have been big Richardson fans for a long time. Not to.
Well, in the group chat we're in, I think we were forced to be Richardson fans.
Well, no, I'm a Vols fan. I was allowed to hate Richardson as much as I wanted to. I just really liked him.
The more and more you see of him from Gabe showing him in the group chat, it was hard not to.
Well, I also wanted him wearing two-tone blue as well. I was pretty on board with the Titans trading up for Richardson. I was really upset when we didn't because when I saw the Cardinals logo change logos, I was hoping so bad I'd see a Titans logo there. And once I saw Houston, my heart sank.
Oh.
Because, well, I mean, granted, I knew it was Stroud, and I wasn't necessarily as high on Stroud, but also it was because I knew the Colts were taking Richardson at 4, and I hate that they let Adam Schefter spoil the picks like on live television, not even just on Twitter, but on TV when he's like, "Well, the Colts hired Shane Steichen, and he was just working with Jalen Hurts, so you'd have to imagine they're drafting a mobile quarterback here."
We need a rule on this podcast.
Yeah.
We will not be dropping Adam Schefter's name.
That is a slur. That is a slur on this podcast.
We'll have to. I don't know. We'll have to think of a discreet way to address him. We could say Rappaport.
Yeah, I love Rappaport. But
Rappaport, great.
Yeah. But yeah, Voldemort.
He who shall not be named can suck my dick.
Yes, during the draft coverage was literally spoiling picks on that. Like you had to mute your TV or else you knew who was getting drafted because they were letting Schefter pretty much spoil the picks. And I know he always does them on Twitter, but then just mute your notifications. You won't see it.
Just terrible.
He was
draft
doing
coverage.
it on TV, and it's like this is the worst draft coverage I think we've had. I'm
100%.
But
I'm not even one to actively think about it. I just kind of watch the picks go in and have fun. I don't really think about the rest because I'm usually also watching the McAfee draft show.
Yeah.
But that one I was sitting back and I was like, this is bad. What are they doing?
Like, dude, I don't want to know who's picking it, and I don't want to know who they're picking until Goodell tells me who they're picking.
I know. I want to hear Roger say it to me.
Yes, I want to have the
Say Mozzie Smith.
Yeah.
Just whisper that name.
Yeah. I was fairly certain we were going to get Skoronski once I saw VFL, by the way, Darnell Wright get taken in the top 10. Shout out Vols legend Darnell Wright. I love Darnell Wright. I don't really know how he did week 1, but we'll talk about that game later. But I love.
Do you want to go ahead and move on to the 49ers and Steelers?
The Steelers got. Oh, sorry. Let's talk about the good team. I'm sorry. It's just the bigger story because of what happened. But
49ers
is the best team in the NFL right now,
and they have. It's just so well rounded from handing it off to Christian McCaffrey to throw into Brandon Ayuk.
My
to
fantasy
George Kittle.
RB1 Christian McCaffrey. Yes, sir.
Same.
Yes,
we'll get into it.
We have a lot of overlap.
I'm in 3 leagues, so
yeah, but we have a lot of overlap.
It's also, and I'll get into it when I talk about like what happened in the fantasy weeks. It's also a weird feeling when you have a player on one league and you're playing against him in another
league. I've had that happen a few times. I'm only in one league this year though, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe next year I don't know. I don't know what we'll do, but we'll definitely have to be in a league together next year.
We got to figure that out.
But yeah, I mean, Brock Purdy picked off right where he left off.
Big cock Brock, man. That guy is awesome.
People questioned him going into this year about, I remember what Patrick Peterson said about him having tells. Patrick Peterson saying he's going to get a pick and then getting like 2 or 3 touchdowns scored on him.
Yeah, I was going to say that screenshot of him like falling over in the end zone as I think it was Ayuk was coming open. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's brutal.
Yeah.
I like
But yeah, there's
Patrick
not
Peterson
much to
too,
actually
but man,
talk about with
that's
them because everyone talks about the Niners. They're great.
there's
Probably the
nothing to
best.
say that can't already be said about Nick
Yeah.
Bosa. Good at football.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy is a phenomenal game manager. Like he
Yep.
perfect fit for Kyle Shanahan's system. Plays
How
relatively
much is he going to get
mistake-free
paid
football. He's only in his
if he
second
hits
year.
the
It's
open
going to be a
market?
minute. He's not. He's.
I know,
But
but
he's
also
good.
they don't have like the 5th-year option.
If Daniel Jones is worth $40 million, what's Brock Purdy worth?
But is there any bit of self-awareness of the team you're playing for and the money that needs to be there for these guys to be there?
That's Brock Purdy's decision. I don't. I
And then
can't
do
weigh in on
other
that.
teams that are on the open market realize that as well? They're like, okay, let's be honest with ourselves. We don't have Kyle Shanahan.
I don't. I think most teams in the league would understand that maybe Purdy would not be nearly as effective with them as he. But it's it's the same. It's the Jared Goff scenario where like Jared Goff once he left LA was like everyone's like, oh, he's gonna suck. Kyle or Sean McVay, fixed him because he was bad as a rookie, so Sean McVay made him. And I was one of those people. I thought Goff was gonna be a disaster at Detroit. Jared Goff's still looking pretty good. And now,
Yeah.
granted, Ben Johnson is very good at his job, but still, it's a different
Mhm.
scheme than what Sean McVay was running. So Goff has now proven himself in multiple offenses. Who's to say Brock Purdy couldn't do the same thing? However, I think that's getting a bit ahead of ourselves here. Brock Purdy's a San Francisco 49er for now and for the immediate future, and
Yeah.
he's doing a very good job as a San Francisco 49er, and he's going to continue to, I think.
But then we have, on the flip side, proof
Oh,
that the
my
preseason
goodness.
does not matter.
Everybody's saying the reason Ryan Tannehill played so poorly is because he didn't play in the preseason. This game is proof that it does not matter how much you play in the preseason.
Nope.
You
Kenny
can look as
Pickett-
unprepared as everybody else in week one. This game
I mean,
was a disaster, and I had Pittsburgh winning this game. I still had San Francisco finishing as the 1 seed. I just had them drop in an early game because they lost week one last year against Chicago, but no, Pittsburgh, and it wasn't even close. At no point in this game, San Francisco was up 14-0 at like midway through the first quarter. This game was over before it started, almost.
yeah. And then that beautiful Christian McCaffrey run for like 65 yards.
I love that, man.
I'll
so
be
much.
honest, I didn't know he still had that type of speed in him.
He's only
I
like
don't know.
27 or 26 or whatever. He's not old.
But it's just like, running backs that have dealt with injuries, it's hard to not immediately assume they're a little slower. But
I guess.
Jesus Christ, no.
But
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much here to add. I mean, Allen Robinson was their leading receiver.
Yeah.
The Steelers, I mean, I don't know. Allen Robinson is supposed to be a good player, but not better than some of the other receivers.
not
they
better
have on
than
the roster.
Deontay Johnson. Well, granted, Deontay Johnson's always had an issue with dropping the football, and
But yeah,
apparently Calvin Austin was running the wrong route at times in this game, from what I've heard. Like,
I would assume everyone was running the wrong route with how that game ended up.
they did not look right at all. Pickett did not look good. The offensive line was bad.
Thankfully, Pat Freiermuth caught a touchdown, and we'll
go.
talk about why I'm thankful later. But
when we get to the fantasy segment, of course.
it's hard not to, give a little sneak peek into some opinions because of the fantasy. But
Yeah.
you want to move on to the Raiders Broncos game?
Let's do it. Denver won, but
Jimmy G is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson. I mean, even with
Denver
Sean
did
Payton,
win, right? Or no, did the Raiders win?
No, yeah, the Raiders
No,
won.
the Raiders. Oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson still looks awful, but of course the Raiders, Jimmy Garoppolo still had that vintage Jimmy Garoppolo turnover.
Yeah, you know what they say for a Jimmy G quarterbacked game. The game doesn't start
until Jimmy G throws.
his
It's
pick.
like the Jameis Winston thing where
and then
it's
just the Raiders. I don't know if I should be overreacting to the offense only putting up 17 points because it's week one.
Yeah,
but it's like the reason Jimmy G is there because he's supposed to have familiarity
in the McDaniels system. Yeah,
yeah, and then you have Devontae Adams, who you just throw it to.
Yep.
You know what? If you don't know the offense, you know what you do know to do.
Throw to 17. Yeah,
but
when in doubt, throw to 17. He's awesome.
Did Jimmy G and Jacoby Myers were they ever on the same team in New England?
Maybe in Jacoby's first year as an undrafted, because I think Jacoby was a rookie in 2017, but Jimmy G got traded But granted, maybe because Jacoby was on the B team and so was Jimmy, maybe they
Yeah.
were thrown to each other in practices. But that was 6 years ago, so
It's just because I'm looking
I'm
at the
not
stat sheet.
sure.
Jacoby Myers, 9 receptions, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm like, did you guys know each other before this? How are you immediately having this
I
type of
think
connection?
2017 was Jacoby's. It may have been 2018 or 2019. Actually, I could be way off, but
Yeah,
maybe 2017 was Jacoby's rookie year. I don't
but
know.
yeah, but honestly, I'm just breezing through some Raiders notes just so we talk about the Raiders first, because all I want to do is talk about the Broncos continuing to be
It's more
terrible.
interesting for sure, but it does. We got to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah,
I
they did
still
win.
I still don't feel good about this team. I think this just makes me feel worse about Denver than it
Oh,
does like feeling good
100%. I
about
am
the
not
Raiders.
thinking
It's
all this did was knock out the Broncos from any type of talk instead of elevate
yeah.
the Raiders
I
into it.
because this you don't want to overreact to week 1, but Russell Wilson looks like last year's Russell Wilson. A whole lot of pass attempts and nothing to show for it. Like
It's insane. 34 pass attempts, 177 yards.
that's 5 yards per attempt. That's Joe
Sean
Flacco
Payton
numbers.
can only do so much.
That's
I don't
Joe
know what
Flacco
the Broncos.
numbers right there.
Yeah, I don't know what the Broncos do after this season because I'm already like, okay, you're done. I'm ready to
over.
go that
Yeah,
far.
it's
I'm ready to go
over.
that far. It's over.
It's over.
What do you do at quarterback?
Suffer.
Shit.
Suffer. That's what you do. Or you draft one of like the 500 guys that's going to be available this year and hope one of them works because there are going to be a lot of quarterbacks coming out in this
Yeah.
class.
I mean, I don't. We'll have to look it up later, but I just got to see when the out of Russell was a like
It doesn't
manageable
look good.
out.
It doesn't look good. It's going to be a while.
Yeah, this is just a depressing game.
This is a depressing football team, just a franchise to talk about because you mortgage your future for Russell Wilson. You mortgage the rest of your future for Sean McVay, hoping he would fix Russell Wilson. And again, it's too early to say that it can't work, but it's not off to a hot start.
No.
And you hate to see it.
Do you want to get into the Eagles-Patriots game now?
Yeah, so, well, New England...
And the Eagles did win first.
Okay,
so.
fuck. Yes,
So the Eagles did win first, and all it did was make me feel better about my prediction of the Cowboys winning the division. Even though it is the Patriots, and it also is week 1 of the Eagles with 2 new coordinators, so I think they'll play better because there was a pick 6, so they actually only put up 18 points on offense, which you do not expect from that team.
Well, granted, it's their first game without Shane Steichen, and we saw what he just did for Anthony Richardson. And I like Brian Johnson. I think Brian Johnson's going to be just fine. I don't know if he's calling the plays. I think Sirianni might be calling them now, but I think Johnson should be calling them eventually. I don't know who called plays in this game, to be quite honest with you. But either way, it wasn't Shane Steichen. That's what I do know, and it makes a difference because Steichen's amazing.
Yeah, it's obvious. It's apparent that Jalen Hurts is not going to be putting up the numbers he put up last year. He'll probably still be a good quarterback, but he's not going to put up the numbers he put up last year.
The defensive line looked every bit as good as advertised, though, for Philadelphia. I mean, they're like 8 deep. They're awesome.
But I still do have some concern with the Eagles' defense, with like Mac Jones putting up 300 yards, 3 touchdowns after like a poor start.
I think that's more of a positive statement about what Bill O'Brien does for this Patriots offense than it is necessarily a negative one about Philadelphia.
You're probably
because
right.
We've got to remember what Mac Jones had to work with last year, and that was Matt Patricia calling plays on offense. Yeah, and that's Matt Patricia, who wasn't even good as a defensive mind at that point in his career, being shoehorned into an offensive coach. And it was a disaster. And that's not even... That might be too generous of a way of putting it. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And
it's just... I don't know what Bill Belichick was thinking. I don't know. I guess we're seeing the decline of Bill.
You hate to see it. But I think New England looked... One day... I mean, they're a good like matchup for Philly as far as roster and coaching goes anyways. They was like... They counter them relatively well. But in general, I mean, New England's not going to lay down on the ground and just, keel over and die while the rest of the AFC East fights it out for this division. Like, this is going to be a competitive team all year long.
And we'll get to it later, but we all picked them to finish last in the division. After what happened Monday night, that's probably not the case anymore. But we'll see.
We don't know that. We don't know
We
that
don't.
because something happened
Well,
and it did not affect the outcome of that game. It's going to affect the outcome of the season, but it did not affect the outcome of that game.
we'll talk about
Yeah,
it.
we'll talk about it.
Actually, I don't have anything else to add about the Eagles Patriots game.
I don't have much else to say either. No, it's
I mean,
pretty cut and dry game. I mean, good game for really good.
Mac Jones really
for,
started playing well.
Yeah, good showing
near
for
the
New
end,
England.
but
You like seeing it.
yeah,
And Philly's
Mac
gonna
Jones
be okay.
believers
Two new
got a
coordinators.
little more hope.
Two new coordinators for the Eagles. You're gonna see them have some early season struggles, maybe.
Yeah,
but they'll round out just fine.
yeah, which I expected, but what I didn't expect was this Rams Seahawks game. If you want to get into it.
Okay, now this is one I am actually excited to talk about.
All right.
The winners
so,
first.
So the Rams won, and my apologies to the Rams. You're better than I thought.
So, Sean McVay masterclass is the first thing I have to say. Also, in this economy, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, each with 119 yards.
Yeah, everyone is running to the waiver wire trying to pick up either one.
Yeah, which we're not going to see this every week from them, especially when Cooper Kupp's back. But, yeah, Tutu Atwell is a guy who was a second-round pick a couple years ago. Really had no business being taken anywhere near that high. He was a gadget player who really couldn't get on the field his first couple of years with the Rams. And then
gadget player for maybe other coaches. But...
Well. I mean, Sean McVay knows what the hell he's doing, and it looks like it here. I mean, and then Puka Nacua was, a kind of one of these guys who I think he was a late round pick this year. I don't think he went undrafted. I think he was like a 6th, 7th round guy, and he had a nice preseason showing. But I didn't think it would translate to immediate week 1 success. But dude, they looked awesome. So
they did.
Credit where credit's due. Sean McVay's a wizard.
Because the biggest shock was the Rams' offensive line playing extremely well against the Seahawks' defensive line.
It's just a well-coached team.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
And then
Devon Witherspoon did not play in this game, which is a huge factor because Tariq Woolen, as good as he is a very one-dimensional corner, and I think a guy like Devon Witherspoon would be perfect as a compliment, where we're going to see it when he gets healthy. But that I think made a big difference in this game was not having Devon Witherspoon.
I don't know if it made too big of a difference because the Seahawks offense, which should be elite, puts up 13 points. That was probably more shocking to me than the Rams putting up 30 with a healthy Matthew Stafford.
Fair enough.
Geno Smith only had 112 yards.
Now that's insane.
That's insane. You're throwing to DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett,
JSN,
Jackson Smith and Jigbo, who you just drafted
as well.
Will Disley got more.
Yeah. Well, I've always liked Will Disley a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, side note to anyone who drafted Cam Akers, be concerned. He did have more carries than Kyron Williams, but he averaged 1.3 yards per carry. So I don't know how much longer that's going to last.
Yeah, we shall see. But Williams certainly outplayed Akers on Sunday.
Yeah. But yeah, this is one where I'm already. It's like, don't want to overreact, but it is just like, damn.
Yep.
Because there's one thing if you lose the game, but it's like, damn, 17-point difference. That's where the concern starts to come in.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I didn't have them making the playoffs, and they could still make the playoffs, obviously, in the NFC. But I do, it's like, oh, I feel better about that. Because when the Giants lost, I was like, okay, so they're not making the playoffs. I'm looking around at like what other NFC team in my mind will take their spot, and I'm like, I can't find them.
Well, it's gonna be. I think we're gonna see yet another year of just nobody coming to claim that number 7 seed in the NFC.
It's just like, are we gonna have? It would be insane if we have a division winner in the NFC South with a losing record, and then a 7th seed with a losing record. That would be insane to see, but it's starting to look like it's on the table. But let's go from the worst conference, the NFC, to the best conference in the AFC with, my opinion, probably the best game of the week, Dolphins-Chargers. Do you want to get into this one now?
I was going to say, I think I know who your prediction for the number 1 seed might be, and I don't hate it at all because I love the Miami Dolphins.
I am looking at these numbers, and my jaw is on the floor. These are Madden numbers.
Mike McDaniel is fucking awesome. Tua is fucking awesome. Tyreek Hill is fucking awesome. Devon
Oh
A-Chain didn't
my.
even play in this game, and I think as the season goes on, we're going to see a lot of A-Chain in this offense, and
Yeah,
it's going
100%
to
with his
be
speed, he fits perfectly with what they
yes.
want.
I think this we're not even seeing this team at its peak yet on offense because
No.
what A-Chain is going to do. I mean, he was a healthy scratch out. No, he's dealing with some
Mm.
kind of shoulder injury, I think actually, but um. What we're going to see from Devon A-Chain is he eventually, I think, as the season goes on, especially the last month or two, he's going to start getting a lot of carries.
Mm.
This team is going to be putting up 40 every game.
I,
It's
I,
going to be amazing. And I don't want to
I,
overreact, but Austin Jackson finally doesn't look like a liability.
mhm.
Who would have thunk it? The offensive line played well with no what do you call it? No Teron Armstead in this game. Which is
You're
why I
right.
ended up changing my pick last minute to the Chargers. I shouldn't have trailed
Mm.
you on that. I should have stuck with my gut. I made the
But
mistake
how
of taking
it
the
did
Chargers in
shock me
this
when the
game.
Dolphins paid top dollar for Armstead just because he's not the
He's
blindside
he's
protector.
never he's never been healthy for an entire season as well. He's always missed at
That's
least a
him.
few games, and
But
you hate seeing
I
that for any
mean,
position, but especially offensive line. You
if
need
if we
health.
look off just week one, who the MVP is,
Tua.
it's Tyreek Hill.
Oh well, yeah, I guess yeah.
I
Tyreek.
think once the sample size
212
gets
yards.
larger,
Yeah,
it's harder for a position player to win MVP. When
Yeah,
you look just 1 week, you can easily pick
yeah.
one, and
You
it's.
can say Tyreek.
I mean, Tyreek Hill is an absolute monster.
And
I
he
need
he
him.
took over the game at the end too when it mattered. He's the reason
I-
they won the game late.
Yeah, and I don't know. 2,000 yards is probably on its way. He's on pace for like near 3,000. Or he was on pace at least in the first half for 3,000 yards. Probably on pace for just like 2,500 now.
Yeah. But you know what's
But,
interesting about this Chargers team?
Yeah, let's get into that.
They know how to run the football and they know how to play run defense.
Yeah, but J.C. Jackson still
Sucks.
sucks.
Yeah.
The football IQ is off the charts in the wrong direction.
I think I hope at least that we eventually see J.C. Jackson round out into being more of what he was in New England. Well, actually, I hope we don't see it in week 2 because the Titans play the Chargers in week 2, and it's in Nashville. Thank goodness. Not that the Chargers have much of a home fan base, anyways, but it's in Nashville, and I almost
Oh yeah, there was
hate-
more Dolphins fans at this game.
I
for
hate
sure.
that the Chargers lost this game because it puts them in wounded animal mode for the Titans game next week, and now neither team wants to be 0-2 because they're both viewed as potential, like 7 seeds basically in the AFC. So now both teams really can't afford to start with 2 losses to begin their season.
Mm.
So
I mean, the Chargers. Well, actually, the Chargers did luck out with the Chiefs losing it.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I mean,
So they do have a little
the Raiders
more,
are no
and-
threat to win this division.
Yeah.
So
So the
they've got a
Chargers
little
actually do
wiggle room.
have more wiggle room because the Jags won. So the Titans
Yes.
don't have any room there.
And it was a divisional win for the Jags as well. So
Yeah.
they've got
Big.
now. Not only they want to know, they're 1-0 in the division, which
Yeah.
you don't want to see.
But yeah, Brandon Staley, you're supposed to be. Well, he was supposed to be a defensive guy. I mean, I know he had played
Supposed to
quarterback.
be.
He's supposed to be a defensive guy, and I look, Tyreek Hill is special. If he puts up 100 yards on you, you can live with it. But I don't care that it's
212?
Tyreek Hill. You put up
212,
215.
or it was 215.
Yeah, you put
Yeah.
up 215, 11 catches, 2 touchdowns. I don't care who you are as a player. The
If you're
coach messed
supposed
up.
to be a defensive mind, you're not doing your job
You
right.
don't allow that. 36
either-
points.
At this point in year 3, either your scheme's not working or you haven't acquired the right players to fit it. Either
Mhm.
way, it's on you. It's year 3. You've had time to assemble your roster the way you want it to be. You've had time to
Yeah.
implement your scheme and your culture. If you still can't play defense and you were hired as a defensive-minded head coach, something is wrong.
Also,
There's a
it's funny
problem.
with J.C. Jackson. I said his football IQ is terrible. Even when he does something good, get an interception, he does something dumb immediately after because he got it in the end zone instead of going down, having this team start on like the 20.
Yeah.
He runs it out to the 4-yard line and gets knocked out of bounds, which did cause the Chargers to have to punt.
Yep. Derwin James
Um,
did that in his rookie year, I remember.
Yeah, rookie year. Hey, you're learning.
Yeah, it has nothing to do
Um,
with this game. I just remember
like-
it was early on. Derwin James
Yeah.
did that, ran it out to like the 2-yard line, and it's like, why the hell did you do that? But he was a
Yeah,
rookie.
but it's-
J.C. Jackson's in like year 6, It's
who
time
played
to
for the Patriots.
yes, Bill Belichick.
The most
you can't do that at Bill Belichick's
yeah.
with Bill Belichick's team. You know, like
You're supposed to have the most situational awareness of any team. You
Yeah.
played for the Patriots. You were great with the Patriots. You got a big bag because you played for them.
Yep.
And then immediately you make them regret it. I remember being like, maybe the Cowboys should get J.C. Jackson. Thank God we didn't.
Yeah, I mean that is. He needs to figure it out at some point. I know he had the injury last year as well, but it's not like he was looking good before the injury, and not a good start to week 1 as well. You need to see more from J.C. Jackson.
And then, Jacob, I just have a question for you.
Yeah, what's going on?
Are you in love?
I am in love.
Because I'm in love.
I'm in
with
love.
Jordan Love. As we hop over to Packers Bears.
I am so unbelievably happy that not only is Jordan Love finally getting the keys, but he played well in week 1 to start his official journey as the guy in Green Bay. Better than Justin Fields played, which I don't understand how. Oh, actually, I'll get into that in a second after we discuss Green Bay some more. But the offensive line play, Zach Tom in this game was awesome. Luke Musgrave was really good. Romeo Dubs was awesome.
If Luke Musgrave could just keep balance a little better, he would have had a touchdown.
Yep.
Aaron Jones
is that dude.
Per touch monster.
Yeah.
AJ Dillon out-carried him, but I can't imagine that to continue.
The defense played well as well. Mm-hmm. I think, what's his name? They drafted him like 12th overall. Or 11th or 13th or whatever. Fuck. The Iowa guy who like didn't start a single game in his college career, the edge rusher. I'm blanking on his name right now. Lucas Van Ness. Yes. Van Ness played well in this game too. I'm
trying to think. I think that's his name.
Yes, Lucas Van Ness is his name.
Yeah.
Lucas with a K. Like Luka Doncic.
I don't see him anywhere on here.
Oh, I thought he played well.
Oh, there he is. Yeah. There, I found him. He had a sack.
Oh, shit.
Which, sacks sometimes can be overblown, but I mean, it's a good thing to have. So,
yeah.
But yeah, do you want to get into the Bears side of it?
It is unfathomable to me the psyop that Bears fans committed into tricking half the league's fans into thinking Justin Fields was some elite passer already.
It was then, and it was fantasy football that made people think Justin Fields elite season coming up.
And look, I'm a Fields believer. By no means am I down on Fields, or do I think he's not going to succeed? I like Justin Fields. I liked him as a prospect. I still like him now. I don't think he's gonna have a bad year. I don't think they're gonna replace him. I like Justin Fields. I'm rooting for Justin Fields, but it has long since been time to pump the brakes on the Justin Fields hype train, because as great as he is at running the football, he was still a below average passer last year, and it wasn't even arguable. And in this game, once again, Luke Getsy didn't exactly call the game of his life, but still, Justin Fields didn't look special by any means in this game, but Jordan Love sure did.
Oh yeah,
Jordan Love looked awesome.
Oh my gosh,
we've waited
do the
so
Packers
long.
do this?
We've waited so long to see this man in action.
And it's like, okay, we understand what you did.
Yes. And I'm so proud, because this is a guy who, like, everybody was grading this pick at like a D or an F when it happened, because you still got Aaron Rodgers. Why are you drafting Jordan Love? Like, since when are we against teams drafting a young quarterback when they have an elite veteran quarterback? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Isn't that what you're? Aren't you supposed to have the plan in place?
When you're competing for a Super Bowl and you take them in the first round, when you have glaring needs, like they got absolutely ran on by the Niners, you have such a glaring need to stop the run, and you don't. I think it was worthy of criticism, but it paid off.
Well,
I'm ready to say it's paid off.
Yeah, I'm going to. It's the question of do you want
Rodgers.
Short-term success or do you want long-term success? Green Bay was banking on this being long-term success, and that's what Jordan Love is going to give them.
But man, if you can get a Super Bowl, I mean, I feel like you just have to go for it. But I mean, shit.
Jordan Love's going to bring them one of those, I feel.
Yeah. He's going to follow the exact same trend that these other quarterbacks do. He's going to bring them one Super Bowl.
I don't care about week 1 overreactions. I've been waiting for Jordan Love to be the guy for 4 years.
You saw his little smirk, his little smile on his face, and you're ready to crown him.
I am ready to crown him. I've been waiting so long for this man to get the keys, and now that he finally, especially, I remember, I think it was a couple of years ago, where It was I think while Joe Buck and Troy Aikman were still doing calls together, or either that or it was I think it was Troy Aikman was just shitting on him the entire
Mm.
game, just shitting on him the whole game. And Love did it was the game against Kansas City that Aaron Rodgers
Yeah.
missed. Do you
Oh,
remember
okay.
he had like the toe or whatever, the COVID
Yeah.
toe
Yeah. Yeah.
that caused him to miss the game against Kansas City. And I think it was Troy Aikman who was just shitting on him the entire broadcast. And Love wasn't even playing that bad, but
Hmm.
you like just seeing him, like the way he got treated after he got drafted and the way he got treated in the few games that he had to play beforehand, and seeing Green Bay not even flirt with doing anything else at the quarterback position. They they gave him the keys. They said, all right, this is your year, go prove it.
God.
And he starts off with 240 something yards and 3 touchdowns,
Yeah.
and
245, 3 touchdowns.
without Christian Watson. Not even
Yeah.
with Christian Watson in the game.
But
So,
but when you have Aaron Jones doing what he did,
yep. Romeo Dobbs as well.
yeah,
Very good
he
game.
played pretty good too. 2
Musgrave,
touchdowns.
3 catches, 50 yards. Solid game,
Mhm.
especially as a rookie tight end.
But back to the Bears. This is just my advice to the Bears.
Yep.
Forget your other running backs. Just use Roshan Johnson.
Just use Roshan. Well, you can use Khalil Herbert in the screen game, but when it comes to running the football, I love Deontay Foreman. Feed Roshan. Feed Roshan.
Yeah, I mean Roshan had more catches than Khalil did.
Yeah, but Khalil Herbert's got like the speed that you use. Like I said, in the screen game. Not
Roshan's got the
necessarily
smile, so this is
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Roshan's beautiful. Man.
yeah.
Love Roshan.
Now we
Johnson.
only have one more game to talk about,
We do.
and
So
something happened.
speaking of COVID toe, that guy. Remember when I told you the reason I was lower on the Jets was this offensive coaching staff, and one of the guys I mentioned. Well, okay, hang on. Oh yeah, they won the game, so I can talk.
They
about
did
this
win,
first.
so yeah, go ahead.
If
Feel
it's a
free.
negative, I can mention this first. Aaron Rodgers lasted 75 seconds, a whopping 4 plays behind a Keith Carter coached offensive line.
I feel like
That is
I had a
really
friend of
all I
mine
have
tell
to
me
say.
that
Yeah.
the Jets have the worst assembled offensive coaching staff ever. I just
Yeah.
who the fuck
Well,
said that?
and they even said on the broadcast last night, they were like, not a whole lot of creativity in this offense here. Like, yeah, it's fucking Nathaniel Hackett and Todd Downing. Are you expecting Kyle Shanahan? What did you think you were going to see? These are 2 guys that have no history whatsoever of creative play calling. So, I'm now they won the game. And
because
Zach
they
Wilson,
dominated on 2 phases
yes,
of football
Special
and
teams.
did enough
Yeah.
on another.
and that Garrett Wilson touchdown catch, man. That I
Beautiful.
fucking love Garrett Wilson, dude. He's going to be an All-Pro.
And I mean, at least Zach Wilson does have familiarity with him already.
Yes. The Wilson to Wilson connection is already established.
It is there, and they can build upon it, but they have a tall task next week.
Yeah.
Taking on, with that offensive line and that offensive coaching staff, taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Jesus, good luck.
Yeah, between Micah Parsons and Dorrance Armstrong, and really that whole pass rush, and then the secondary. Hi, Dirk. See his little head moving.
Somebody moving.
Little head's bobbing there. Oh, big yawn.
Yeah.
Hi, handsome. He's
It's like
beautiful. He's a beautiful dog, man.
Yeah, it's my beautiful black baby right there.
Oh, there's a cat sleeping in bed. You see him?
Yeah.
Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy.
There's the animal check-in.
Yep, there's the animal check-in. Not a planned
Yeah,
segment of the podcast, but it was here nonetheless.
So the punt return touchdown.
Yep.
Fantastic. What a way to end the game.
Yep.
But I'm ready to move on to the big bill in the room. The fourth turnover.
The Josh Allen playing like boiled ass in the room. One of the worst.
He got
games of
elevated
his
to he got elevated to such a level when he had Brian Daboll, and people kind of kept him there. Brian Daboll's gone. It's probably time to start having some uncomfortable conversations about Josh Allen.
I think that I'm not ready to get there yet with you, but I do think I don't. Sometimes
I'm not saying he's bad now. It's just like the number of quarterbacks that I would rather have than Josh Allen has probably increased. And most of it is because of Allen's play, not even the other quarterbacks.
I sometimes struggle to use the word elite when I talk about Josh Allen more and more, because
elite
he has
requires
too
consistency.
many of these games, and at this point in his career, like you'd think he should have phased these out by now, because it was, in 2020 is when he really started playing. So he's now had 3 years where he's been
Mm-hmm.
well established that he has arrived. He's a very good quarterback now. Excuse me,
Yep.
but it's time at this point. Now you're entering year 4 of of your breakout, like, good football play. You should
Mm-hmm.
not be making 2018 Josh Allen plays at this point in your career, at least not at the frequency that he's making them, and
Yeah.
especially that interception. I mean, well, all three of them were to
To Whitehead.
were to Whitehead, who actually Whitehead made a $250,000
$250,000. Yep.
contract incentive because he needed 3 interceptions in the season. He got it day one. So
Yeah.
good for him. Good for Jordan
I
Whitehead,
wonder if
man.
there's layers to that. Like, you get 3, you get this, you get 5, you get this.
Maybe, but I mean, sometimes they're prorated like that. But, like, for sure he got the $250,000 bonus
Yeah.
already. So he just made $250,000. I'm sure he's feeling pretty good about himself. But
Yeah.
there was the one to Whitehead where it was in double coverage, where Josh Allen had a lane to just run for the first down. Wide ass.
He wants to
open
show
in
off his
front of him.
arm. I don't know what it is.
Well, he's got the strongest arm in the league. I understand it, but
That, and he wants to show that his receivers out there are better than these other guys. I
he
don't
was
know
doubled,
what it is.
man. He was and he threw it ahead of the receiver. Jordan Whitehead was the only guy who had a chance at the ball. Like,
Yeah. Jesus.
and
I
again,
mean, I'm
he
looking
had
at
a
the stat
lane.
sheet.
He had a lane there to just take off and run for the first down. I don't know what he was doing.
It's just, if it's not going to Diggs, it's just not doing much else. And the reason that I think that's the case is just because I think Diggs has voiced a lot of frustration. So Allen is just trying to make him happy, give him the ball, and all it's doing is causing the team to lose.
Yeah.
Diggs probably needs to have not complained as much. They
Yeah.
were winning. They were in the playoffs. Okay, you lose in the playoffs, be upset, but I just maybe might have gotten a little too angry, and now Josh Allen's trying to compensate, trying to keep that relationship
Trying
together.
to force feed him a little bit. Maybe.
And now Diggs is probably gonna request a trade to the Dallas Cowboys to play with his brother.
Yep.
I think that's where this is headed. But speaking of brothers, we got the Cook brothers battling it out. I
Yes,
guess
sir.
is James better than Dalvin at this point?
Probably. I know who is better than Dalvin Cook. That's Brees
Brees
Hall.
Hall.
Feed Brees Hall. Give Brees Hall the
Yeah.
damn ball. I mean, what are you doing?
I get that they want to ease him back in, so I don't think this will stay an issue. But Dalvin Cook out carrying Brees Hall is an issue.
Yeah. And I get, they're worried. Maybe they're worried about the injury. They're worried he's not healthy yet. He looked healthy last night. I think you just give
If
him
Garrett
the damn
Wilson makes a
ball.
block
Yeah.
instead of celebrating before he scores,
Yeah. But but in general, Brees looked healthy. I think you just give Brees the down ball. And the Jets they have a formula for winning on offense, and the defense is amazing. So this team can make the playoffs.
I mean, how much can you really rely on that formula when running the football there's a huge reliance on the offensive line?
No, I mean, fair point. And you're relying on a Keith Carter coached offensive line with a Nathaniel Hackett called offense. It's not perfect, and no Aaron Rodgers definitely drags down the property value here of this offense, because I mean, I believe in Zach Wilson long term. Maybe if he spends more time
I like the idea
Rodgers,
of him. I liked that idea.
I don't like the idea
Rodgers
of him
learning.
already having to come back in and be the guy for an entire season, because really that's it. It's his team again now. Rodgers played 4 snaps before he ruptured his Achilles.
And I would have said that Wilson will play better next week because the offensive game plan is centered around Rodgers going into that game.
Yep.
Now you have a week to change it, but they play the Cowboys, and he still is Zach Wilson.
We're gonna have to see it. We're gonna have to see them figure it out. But man, I mean, what a game! What a game!
What a week!
Yeah, what a week of football! Everybody looks
what
like
a
shit.
Week!
There's
not all the games were good, but the storylines.
There are 4 teams that look like they were well coached in week 1. It was Dallas, the Rams, the 49ers, and Cleveland, and then is that the list of teams that were like?
I won't say coached. I'm just gonna look through it and see the teams that looked good.
Yeah.
The Cowboys, obviously, the Packers.
That's usually synonymous.
The
if
Dolphins.
You win by a lot of points, it's because you outcoach the other team for the most part.
Yeah, Cowboys, Packers, Dolphins, Niners. Let's see. Who else had a really good game?
Yep.
That might be it.
I'm even gonna say, Tennessee was really good if you ignore the quarterback position. But if you look at every
Oh yeah,
advanced
I'll just
metric,
ignore that position.
well, you can't. That's the problem with it. You can't just ignore the position. But if you, every advanced metric for every other position it says Tennessee had a really good game, and
So
you
even
know
though
it's
I just named
yep,
all of the teams, but let's each give our top three.
yep.
Three. Let's go 3, 2, 1. Let's both name our three.
I know my one, and I think I might have a new number two at this point.
It's just
Well, okay,
I'm
I'll give you
looking
my
at it,
three.
and this is tough.
I'll give you my three.
I,
My three right now is Dallas.
okay,
I think they've
that's
moved
fair.
up in my rankings.
I think if I had to guess, we have the same three.
We have the same three. I'm pretty sure because I think I have the same AFC team that you do right now.
From AFC team.
Yeah, well because I'm sure you're gonna mention an AFC team at some point.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yes.
So I'll just say the three because I actually have no idea what order to put them in.
Okay, fair enough.
But for me, it is Dolphins, Cowboys, Niners.
Yeah, for me it's Dallas 3, Miami 2, Niners 1.
Hmm.
That's where I'm at right now.
I think for me, I think I'm gonna put the Dolphins at 3 just because the defense still did give up 34 points, and I know that it's the Chargers, but they also were going up against Brandon Staley and his defense, and I just don't have I don't have any faith in that defense anymore.
No.
And
At
him
this
specifically,
point
that head coach specifically.
I'm almost ready to say I'm out on Brandon Staley, but of course obviously he has the rest of this year to prove everybody wrong and somehow conjure that defense together. But if you're in year 3 and you're allowing somebody to hang 36 on you in week 1, that's a problem.
Yeah,
That's
I think mine's gonna go Dolphins at 3. I'm gonna go Niners at 2 and Cowboys at 1 because the Cowboys scored more points than anyone else in the NFL and held the opposing team to less points than anyone else in the NFL.
Yep. Can we talk about some potentially some teams that may surprise a little bit? Some teams
go ahead.
That based on week 1 performance. So Sean McVay is back for sure. I feel pretty good that Sean McVay is just going to have a really well coached season. That the Rams are going to look like they're not going to win every game. They're not going to look like this every week, but
no,
they're going to be much better than I think I gave them credit for, and I think most people gave them credit for.
Yeah.
They're going to figure it out. The roster is still not great top to bottom, but they're going to figure it out.
I was already in my head.
I was thinking
Rams in contention for the number 1 pick.
See, I was never that far down because there is a huge difference between Sean McVay and like John Glennon or Jonathan Gannon, excuse me, and then Todd Bowles or whatever.
Things happen in the NFL.
They do, but McVay, he decided not to retire. I think he's locked in.
He's 100%. I mean, we could see that he's locked in.
We saw it. He's locked in. So there's no question about it. He's locked in now. But
so Rams,
Tampa, I think, is a team that I initially wrote them off as a division contender. I am not ready to say that anymore. I think Tampa, definitely has got a shot. It's a weak division.
Yeah, weak division.
They got. I mean, Carolina still has a shot. I wouldn't rule out Carolina. They could absolutely. I think they will go on a late season surge and start winning games later in the year.
Yeah, as Bryce Young gets acclimated to the NFL, they're going to have
and Jonathan Mingo as well. And we're going to see a lot of the younger pieces on this team. And then Frank Reich's culture will set in more as the year goes on.
Yeah, they have the floor.
Yes, I think in general that team is going to round out into a very competent and possibly even like very fun watch. But Tampa, I think, is a better team. Is really better than I gave them credit for. Tampa and the Rams. Cleveland, I'm not ready to be as low on Cleveland as I was. I think I didn't put enough stock into the roster because I wasn't a fan of the coaching. The roster is really good though, and
my opinion hasn't changed.
I don't think I've really changed.
Deshaun Watson's still their quarterback. I'm not hopping off.
Fair enough. I'm not ready to bail on the Pittsburgh Steelers, but boy, did they disappoint well beyond my expectations. I thought they'd win this game, and they did not look prepared in the slightest.
Yeah, for the Steelers, I thought they were competing for the 7th seed. I don't think I had them making it, and I feel fine with that prediction right now.
And I feel like I'm not ready to sell my Steelers stock yet. Like I certainly don't think they're winning the division anymore. I'm already ready to bail on that prediction, but I'm not going to say they can't make the playoffs here because I think they very well could. But another team, again, Tennessee, if they just get league average quarterback play, this is a 10-win team. If you just look at every other position on the team, everybody else played well. And Tim Kelly called a better game than any Todd Downing game of the last 2 seasons. I think if we just see better quarterback, I mean, call me biased. I think if we just see better quarterback play in Tennessee, this team is fighting. This team could very well make the playoffs.
Sure. I think I mean, if we're talking about our own teams,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said earlier, I feel much better about my prediction about the Cowboys
Yeah.
winning the division.
I feel much better about your prediction as well.
With that defense, I feel better about my pick for them making the Super Bowl. I think, in my opinion, they probably have the best defense in the NFL right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Between pass rush and really, they only got run on that one drive. Other than that, the run defense was very good. And it's the best pass rush in the NFL. You've got a bunch of guys that know how to win.
Oh my gosh!
The secondary is very good. You've got three.
Yeah, I mean, we've got
safeties.
guys
You've got
coming
a very
in.
good duo of cornerbacks.
There's some guys in there. I can't remember the one guy's name, but we had like an undrafted guy I think last year that has been made the team, and he was defending Darren Waller.
Yeah.
Pretty well, for as much as you probably could, Darren Waller.
Yeah.
I don't know. From front to back, I mean, I just think that's the best defense in the NFL.
I think there's merit to that. I think for sure in week 1, they're the only team that didn't allow a single point. It's not even arguable.
Yeah.
They were,
and they play the Jets next week with Zach Wilson.
So we could very well see another.
We'll see if they continue that streak. That would be crazy.
That'd be pretty.
I won't predict that because I still think I think the run game is still the weakness of it, and if they give Breece Hall more touches, they might get into field goal range.
Yeah, Dallas's pass defense is still going to be better than their run defense. But
I don't think it'll be as big an issue as it has been years previous, but still feel good. Anything else you wanted to add, or do you want to go into a little fantasy football check-in?
I think I feel pretty good here about what we've covered as far as the games go. I think I'm probably squared away.
So I'm in 3 leagues. I don't know how. Right. Do you want me to just go off on my 3 teams first?
Yeah, just go ahead and talk about.
Okay, so I will talk about. I'll say my record now. I won two in 2 leagues, and I did lose in one.
Okay,
and
you're up. That's good.
I'm gonna start off with the league I lost in.
All right.
Lamar Jackson gave me 5.5 points, and if I had played Anthony Richardson instead of him, I would have won.
Yes.
And I probably in most weeks I probably would have won because I was up like 50-ish points going into Sunday Night Football. I guess it was probably 40-something points, like right at 40 points. Going into Sunday Night Football, he has Dallas's defense and Saquon. And Saquon didn't have a good game, but combined with the Dallas defense, he had enough to take the lead.
Yep.
But it was pretty. So, but I'm not out on this team. This team is Lamar Jackson, Bijan Robinson, who did put 20, even with Algier getting all those goal line touches. Jahmyr Gibbs gave me 8 points, but I think that as the season goes on, he'll get more and more. Devontae Adams.
I'm confident that's going to get higher. For sure.
Devontae Adams and Keenan Allen as my wide receivers. Keenan Allen went out there and pretty much made me feel good about me picking him. Yeah. Luke Musgrave at tight end. I had James Conner and Jordan Addison as my flexes. I'm probably ready to go ahead and switch out Roschon, put him in instead of James Conner.
Yeah.
And then Daniel Carlson as my kicker, only gave me 5, but I did have the Jags defense drop 13 points. But yeah, I would have won that game had I played AR instead of Lamar. But I'm not going to kick myself over that. Yeah. That was the decision to make going into it.
Yeah.
But now for
not bad process at all.
So it's 2 sleeper leagues and 1 ESPN league. So for the other sleeper league, I did my thing.
You did your damn thing.
I did my thing in this one. I was the highest scorer in the league for this week.
Yep.
And funnily enough, I played the second highest scorer in the league that week.
Interesting. So that guy would have whooped anybody else's ass.
He was literally in the league chat being like, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I have to go up against the number 1 scorer this week. But yeah, I had Justin Fields at quarterback who did give me 17. I would have had more points had I played Anthony. I have Anthony Richardson in all 3 leagues, by the way.
Oh my goodness. And I have Anthony Richardson in my league. So
I believe in his fantasy upside. I thought it was through the roof, and I'm already like, ooh.
This is just week 1. Like, imagine what we're gonna see. We're gonna see some like really great performances this year.
But yeah, I had him. My running backs were Aaron Jones, who went absolutely off, and Alexander Madison. And then here we go. I'm gonna name you because both of my flexes are wide receivers. So these were the wide receivers I had.
Yep.
I had Justin Jefferson, 27.5 points. Jalen Waddle, lowest scorer here with 13.3. Yep. Chris Olave gave me 20.
He sure did.
And then probably my best pick.
Yep.
In the draft here was Brandon Ayuk,
Yep.
who gave me just about 34 points. I mean,
Yep.
let me list my receivers one more time for everyone to hear that
Yep.
I have these guys on one team. Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave, Brandon Ayuk.
That was a huge week.
That's
huge
insane.
Huge week for those guys.
The tight end was Freiermuth, who only had
touchdown.
one catch, but it was a touchdown.
Yep.
So he gave me what I needed. Probably, I think, I have Musgrave in this league, so I might make that switch because I think Freiermuth is also questionable. He got pretty banged up. But in this league, I also have Justin Tucker as the kicker. He only gave me 5 this week, but I know I'll never get negative points out of my kicker position.
He's always been kind of an overrated fantasy. Like, I don't remember him ever finishing as kicker 1, but he's also like a stable kicker for the most part. Like,
he was kicker 2 last year. So.
Oh, I didn't know that actually, but I know I drafted him a couple years ago and got pretty average play.
Daniel Carlson's been the number 1 kicker these last 2 years, and I have him.
Yep.
I think I had him in the other league that I just said, but yeah, Saints defense. I saw their early schedule and I was like, oh, they're going to be really good. I saw that they played the Titans and said, I know I need that defense.
All right, man. But you know, it worked out in your favor because Ryan Tannehill played the worst game of his career.
And then for the fantasy league, or the ESPN fantasy league, I was also the number 1 scorer in this league as well.
You did your damn thing in this one too.
I need to start making fantasy videos because apparently I know what the fuck I'm doing.
You know what the hell you're doing.
So let's see. This team was Justin Fields again at quarterback.
So you got Fields and Richardson in both of these leagues.
Yeah, I have Anthony Richardson in all 3, Justin Fields in 2 of them. Lamar is the other one. But then my running backs are Christian McCaffrey and Nick Chubb. Christian McCaffrey was beautiful.
Was
Nick
awesome
Chubb,
this week. Yes,
Nick Chubb only had 18 carries. They need to feed that man more.
Still more than Derrick Henry did.
And then I have Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins as my wide receiver.
Hopkins had a good PPR day.
Yeah, Hopkins had better than I thought because I was just watching Red Zone
for 60 something or whatever.
Yeah, because I was just watching Red Zone, and anytime they showed the Titans,
Lattimore was bitching him. Yeah,
it was never good. So I assumed he had a bad day, and that's why I said in the group chat to throw to Hopkins.
He's the only one who had a good day. Tannehill was force feeding him for better or worse.
Calvin Ridley. I needed him to be my wide receiver 1, and he's doing that. Freiermuth again at tight end gave me a touchdown, which is good enough. I have Dalton Kincaid and Luke Musgrave on my bench, so I'm ready to ship off Freiermuth probably right now. I might start looking for
3 tight ends is insane. That is obscene.
This league just has a larger bench, and I was I like both of these guys. I didn't draft. I only drafted 2, and then I was looking at the
Musgrave
was
a waiver wire.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird how Musgrave's projection was so low because I've drafted Musgrave in like round 15. I'm like, why the fuck is he still here?
Yeah, before I even saw, because I saw a lot of videos saying, "Hey, take this sleeper," and it was Musgrave. I was already thinking like I didn't know much about him, but I was like, well, Green Bay is going to need him, so I just assumed he'd be good.
2nd round pick as a tight end, and it was a day 1 starter, and his projected ADP was like 70. What?
But then, and this league is weird. This league is weird because they have defensive players, like just an individual defensive player, which I don't like. But I have Max Crosby, who gave me 5 points.
Yeah,
and he was the best projected player when I took him for defensive players, so that's whatever. But then I had the Ravens defense and McPherson as my kicker, who gave me 3 points.
Something.
Gave
you more points than T. Higgins gave me.
I had J.K. Dobbins on my bench, so he's now gone. But I had Jordan Addison and then Anthony Richardson.
How did Addison do this week, by the way?
16 points.
Oh,
for this league. He actually had more than Hopkins.
Yeah.
Now that I'm looking at it, which is interesting. But
Hopkins
that's how fantasy went for me. I had 1 loss, and in the other 2 leagues, I was the number 1 scorer. And I want to tell you Gabe's team because Gabe has essentially the team I have in the other sleeper league.
Yeah.
The stacked wide receiver team. He pretty much has that. Let me find him. This is only going to be interesting to me and you because we both know Gabe. But Gabe scored 180 points, the first by a lot, with Joe Burrow as his quarterback. So you want to hear the rest of this team?
Yeah, run this by me. Run these numbers by me.
Okay.
Just for fun.
So Joe Burrow, this is just for us. So he had 180 points. Joe Burrow had 3 points for him.
Yep.
And then he had Aaron Jones, give him 27.
He had Aaron Jones in my league too, because I played him. He had Aaron Jones. So I guess he was a big Aaron Jones guy this year.
and so was I. He snaked Aaron Jones. He took Aaron Jones right before I was about to use the pick, right before me. He
That's
took him, and I
tragic.
was upset. And I texted him. I was like, Gabe,
Fuck
I hate
you.
you.
Yeah.
But then he had Damian Pierce as his other running back, who only gave him like 7. But then, can you take a guess?
He had Tyreek
has?
Hill. Yeah, he had Tyreek.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill, who gave him 44 and a half
Did he have
points.
Brandon Ayuk in this league too?
Yes, he did.
Oh boy.
So he had his wide receivers are Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown, Chris Olave, and Brandon Ayuk.
Oh,
I say that his team is a lot like mine because we have the same flexes of Olave and Ayuk.
Yeah.
And then I have the different Dolphins wide receiver with Waddle, and then instead of AJ Brown, I have Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
But his tight end also gave him 0 points.
Interesting. Did he have Chig?
Guess his
He had
tight end.
Chig. Yeah, he had Chig. I remember.
Well,
Chig should have given him like 20, but Ryan Tannehill overthrew him once and then just didn't see him the other time. He should have had like 2 touchdowns in that game.
And then he has Jake Elliott as his kicker, who gave him 17 points, and then
Nice.
Jets defense, who chipped in for 15.
Yeah. Well, and defense and special teams. They had a special teams touchdown at the end of the game.
Yeah,
That
I'm assuming.
gave him a
Yeah,
huge
I'm assuming
boost.
that's what it counts. But
Yeah.
yeah, he did very well. But yeah.
Oh my
I have
god.
lost.
Oh my god, he's doing it again. You can't reach there, buddy. Oh my god, my cat's so silly. Do you want me to go through my lineup here?
Yes, I would.
Let's see. Let me go last week. Let me see what I had. Okay, so quarterback, our king, Anthony Richardson, of course. 20.9.
The guy that I should have played in apparently every single league I was in.
Christian McCaffrey, also our guy, 25.9. Alexander Madison, also our guy, 13.4. T. Higgins, 0 points. Calvin Ridley, another one of our guys, 24.1. Luke Musgrave, another one of our guys, incredible, 8 points. Drake London, 0 points. Eagles defense, 11 points. Riley Patterson, 3 points. Because he had 3 extra points in that game. So I had 2 goose eggs in this game, and I still scored over 100. So
And won.
yeah, and I won. So I feel.
So what was Gabe's team?
Gabe had. Oh, sorry, I did
'Cause
play
this is
against
the-
him in this league. Yeah, let me check this matchup, if it'll let me. Yeah, week 1 matchup. Here we go. All right, Gabe had Patrick Mahomes, who just got slightly outscored by Anthony Richardson because Richardson had a rushing touchdown. He had Aaron Jones, who outscored McCaffrey actually. He had James Cook, who put up a valiant effort last night, but only had 10 points instead of the 18 that Gabe needed to beat me. Jamar Chase, 5 catches, 39 yards, not a whole lot. DJ Moore, quiet game. Dalton Schultz, quiet game. Samaje Perine, that's his flex, who he was okay, 11.8 points. For
Yeah, I had
Denver.
P right on my bench.
He had KC defense with 3 points, and then of course he had Dicker the kicker, who had 12. So good game from him. And overall, I mean, Gabe scored just a little under 100 in this league. And I won. So I'm 1-0 in fantasy, even though the Titans.
So you're 1-0. I'm 2-1.
Yep. I feel good.
If I keep losing in that other league, I probably won't even bring it up. I can't imagine.
Don't even
I
set
have
your
to see-
lineups in later days.
Yeah.
If you keep losing.
Well, I mean, I'll still try in that league, but for this fantasy check-in, I might just focus on the teams that are doing well.
So is
Yeah.
it time to make our picks for next week?
Yes, I was gonna pull up
The CBS Sports app, yeah. So we
I
can
wanted to
just
also
do our picks now.
I also wanted to first. Well, I think it's probably good if we keep the folks updated on how we're doing.
And I think you're winning the Pick'em League right now.
I am up by 1.
Yes.
I got 9 right. You got 8 right.
Who did I
Gabe
pick?
did not get
I
any
picked
yet.
the Jets last night, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you did.
I think.
That must have been because I think I was up 2. And I
yes,
picked
and
the
you
Bills,
picked
so
the
you
Bills,
must
so I
have
must
picked
pick the Jets. And the only reason we're not tied is because I trailed you on that Chargers pick. I should have stuck with my gut and picked Miami.
I wish it would show us who we picked last week. It did before, but now that it's updated for the new week, it's not showing me.
Oh, picks. Here we go. All right. Cute Men is the name of the league. All right,
Yeah.
so
I just
Look
want to
at-
see. I wish I could see last week's. But anyways,
probably some way too, but we're looking
yeah.
at
But anyways,
Minnesota
so
versus
I'm up 1.
Philly. This one's gonna be a sneaky
I'm probably-
close game, I think.
I think. I mean, I think Eagles. Ultimately,
Yes. I mean that's fair.
unfortunately, I would
I'm-
love a Vikings win, but
I'm
but
actually
also-
not sure though.
now that I think about it, I could see maybe the Eagles' struggles continue on a little more than we think, and the Vikings get their shit together. They give the ball to Jefferson.
Let me turn on my
I'm still
lamp
gonna
real
go
quick
Eagles.
because I'm not getting a whole lot of light outside right now.
Okay. Keep this in. Look at that sexy man. Yo, no gay shit. I'd fuck the shit out of him. Like no gay shit, but I would fuck him. Keep all of that in.
And we're back. Yes, sir.
And you look worse.
Yes.
You look worse.
Should I just leave it like this?
If they're this far in. Oh wait.
We're doing a graphic
just doing
over this
audio.
anyways. Never mind. I'm superimposing.
That's just for us.
This will be our little
But
secret.
still keep
We'll go
this
edit
in
that out.
because
Okay, or we'll keep it in.
I make a joke while you stand up.
Oh, brother, you were talking about my fat, juicy ass, weren't you?
I didn't specify any body parts. I just said what I
know
want
what
to do with you.
So anyways, we got Philly,
anyways,
Philly
Ravens,
versus the Vikings.
Oh, all right, you still haven't.
I haven't
yours.
made my pick. You're ultimately picking Philly.
Ultimately, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Philly.
It's tough, but I think I am too. I want to pick Minnesota so bad, but
so do I, and I also want to pick them just so I can enjoy the game a little more because I will be rooting. I'm going to be rooting for the Vikings no matter what, but it'd be easier to root for them if I also have this invested into them. But I
don't give a shit about
after losing to Tampa.
I want to see Minnesota pick it up.
After losing to Tampa, I can't. So you sticking with
Philly? I don't want to, but Bengals, Ravens. I think Cincinnati gets the win.
They bounce back.
Yeah, they get a bounce.
It's at home. They're gonna bounce back. Burrow. I mean, I wouldn't want to play against Burrow after
Joe Burrow. No, wounded animal mode here for the Bengals. Granted, I think it's a close game. I think
Baltimore. Oh, it's a divisional game. It'll be close, but I think I got to go with Joe Burrow.
Tampa versus Chicago.
I'm gonna go with the Bears.
One. I want to.
I'm gonna go with the Bears. I think that. I think the Bears play better than they did last week, and Tampa is more of what we thought they were going to be this week. Just at least for this week, we'll see how things go moving forward. But I'm going with the Bears.
I don't. This is a tough. Hi, Dirk.
He waved back. That's how he waves.
What that was. See, I don't want to just take all the same games as you, because then you're just gonna be one ahead of me. But it'll make
the like. We'll probably have a difference here, and it'll make that one more interesting because it'll be more important.
I'm going to say, fuck. I have a weird feeling Tampa's gonna pull this one out, but I really want to say Chicago. I'm gonna say Chicago.
Okay.
But
and then Green Bay. Atlanta.
I've got Green Bay, but I don't feel good about it at all because I
was going to say I am tempted.
Atlanta's brand of football is going to keep Jordan Love off the field, and it's going to be weird. Fuck. Actually, Atlanta gets the home ups, the win here at home. I'm gonna pick Atlanta. I don't want to rationalize too much because I don't want you to be convinced by what I'm doing because I do want these to be different somewhere. But I'm gonna say Atlanta.
But for me,
we can always change these before Sunday, anyways. But.
I was actually going to say maybe we shouldn't just so the podcast. Unless a major like injury or something happens, we don't switch.
Okay, fair enough. I mean,
just so the podcast keeps that kind of weight to it,
I suppose.
And anyone who listens can be more connected to it.
So what's your pick here? You think Green Bay?
Atlanta. Jordan Love looked great. Desmond Ridder was whatever. And in a quarterback league, that is tough to not pick the team with the better quarterback. But Atlanta did run the ball super well.
Yeah,
they could keep doing that.
And their defense is much improved.
Yeah, the Bears defense, the Falcons defense is going to be better than the Bears defense. And Jordan Love maybe he doesn't know how to handle a win. I mean, this is a guy who we haven't seen much in the NFL. Maybe he doesn't know how to handle a win.
Yep.
I'll go with the Falcons. And really, if I didn't have Bijan Robinson on fantasy, I probably would have picked the Packers.
I have Drake London, so I do have a vested interest in Atlanta here, but I also have Luke Musgrave.
And then we have Colts.
I'm pounding the fucking Colts button. I couldn't press this any quicker. Yeah, I think
both rookie quarterbacks, and one
head coaches as well.
And one of the rookie quarterbacks has a dimension to his game that is going to be replicatable and can help you win.
Yes.
So
and I don't know what CJ Stroud's going to look like facing the pressure of this Colts defense, because the Colts defensive line looks really good against Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
Buckner, Stewart, Um, Quiddy Pay looks really good, which is really nice to
Mhm.
see. It's a guy you wanted to see more from as a pass rusher. So we'll see how C.J. Stroud looks. But he's never been great under pressure. We'll see what he looks like. If the Colts defensive line can get to him. Still no Titus Howard, so they're still a man down at the offensive line there in Houston. We'll see. I think Indianapolis wins this one though.
And then we have Chiefs Jags, and this one is extremely hard for me to pick.
I
I know Chris
can't.
Jones is coming back.
Yeah. I
Is Travis Kelsey playing?
Well, I think that's still we day to day, but I can't believe I'm saying this. I think I'm gonna pick Jacksonville to start 2-0 and Kansas City to start 0-2.
I was gonna do the same thing.
Um,
I started I took away the picks, but I started doing this before
Yeah.
the pod, and then I realized, what am I doing? We're gonna do this
Yeah.
on the pod.
right.
And I had picked the Jags just mindlessly scrolling through. I know Chris Jones is coming back, but I just also it's not like, okay, the Chiefs are coming off a loss, and the Jags are coming off a win, so you
Yeah.
would think the Jags might be more comfortable, but the Jags are playing the team that knocked them out of the playoffs.
Yes. They're
That
hungry. Just
100%.
like when they played New England in the 2018 like opener or whatever, or the week 2 when they played New England and they won because they were pissed off. Now this is a way different team. Obviously, they've gone through 2 coaches since then,
Mhm.
different culture, different roster completely.
But
But
yeah,
same
I'm
principle.
picking-
You're pissed off. You want to get them back.
I'm
Now
picking Jags.
the next we might finally disagree on one here.
Yeah, I got Chargers.
Yeah, I know you do, but I think okay, that's the way I see it. Either Ryan Tannehill plays well and we win, or he doesn't and he gets benched. Either way, I'm excited for this game.
I think even if he plays well, Justin Herbert plays better, and the Chargers win.
I mean, I don't know. The way the Chargers were playing offense against Miami, you will not be able to run the ball like that against Tennessee. Tennessee's run defense has been elite the last 3 years. You are not going to be able to play that same. Now, granted, obviously the Chargers have no issue throwing the football.
Yeah, it's just
But-
they're pretty multifaceted, so they'll be able to adapt if they can't run the ball.
Well, Tennessee usually has a decent game plan for Kellen Moore as well.
We'll see. Do they have a decent game plan for Justin Herbert though?
We didn't last year. It was Justin Herbert to Mike Williams for 4 quarters, and it worked because we had
How's Mike Williams?
I don't know, but I know we had Roger McCreary covering him, who has 0th percentile arm length. So Mike Williams was just able to reach the top shelf every time Herbert threw it to him.
I think Mike Williams got hit pretty hard last game, and I know he came out of the game. I don't know if he came back in.
Speaking of, I know Amani Hooker is in concussion protocol, which means he's more than likely not playing in this game for Tennessee because Mike Vrabel don't play no shit about concussions.
But
so
now let's just keep this ball rolling. Raiders, Bills.
I think bounce back week for
they bounce
Buffalo.
I don't trust the Raiders at all.
No, not in the slightest.
And then this is an interesting one. Do the Seahawks start 0-2 as they take on the Detroit Lions? I'm gonna say they do. They play in Detroit.
As much as I want to say Seattle has a bounce back week in Detroit, with Detroit
And Aiden Hutchinson looked pretty good against the Chiefs.
I'm gonna say Detroit. Now we got 2 0-1 teams here. Giants versus
one of these is not like the other. I'll take the Giants.
Brian
Daboll or Gannon?
I'm taking Daboll, but Daboll had a goose egg last. I don't know. It's tough
I
to
blame.
say.
I blame the rain and Daniel Jones for that.
Well, if you blame Daniel Jones is still on the team. Breaking news. So
right, but I'm just saying in terms of coaching, I don't blame the coach.
I understand that, but I don't.
And Josh Dobbs is the other quarterback. So even if I blame Daniel Jones for that, I don't.
Don't be disrespecting Vols and Titans legend Josh Dobbs now.
But consider him disrespected.
Well, with that being said,
You're also taking the Giants. Come on now.
I honestly don't know. I feel like this is one of those weird games where.
What would you have picked a week ago?
Well, I would pick the Giants a week ago, and I know week 1 is sometimes a lie, but
I
don't know.
mean, hey, go ahead, pick the Cardinals.
The line's only 5.5. Should I bet Arizona money line this week? Fuck it. Maybe I should.
Go ahead.
I might pick the Giants to win this, but bet Arizona money line just for fun.
Okay, so you're picking the Giants.
I think I'm gonna pick the Giants.
Okay, and then Niners Rams.
Rams.
It's weird because McVay I don't know. A healthy Rams team has been like the Niners' weakness.
Well, really, the Niners have been the Rams' weakness until the playoffs.
Oh
Because
yeah, you're right. I
the
think I.
Niners swept them that year until they got
Oh,
there. So that's
oh, you're right.
now.
I have
Granted, I
that
still think
backwards.
now that they always play each other pretty close for the most part.
Right.
I still think San Francisco wins this game.
Yeah. So do I. And then this next one, we can just go ahead and both pick the
Dallas, yeah. I mean,
Cowboys.
the
Now,
pass rush.
Commanders Broncos.
I'm also just gonna go ahead and pick the Commanders. Not that
Um,
it won't be a close game, but
I'll go. Shit.
it's tough. I know, but I'm
This would have been so easy. This would have been easy for me to pick a week ago, but after because I expected some improvement on the Broncos, but then
Yeah.
they did not have any. So I'll you know what? I'll still pick the Broncos.
okay.
I think the defense will get to Sam Howell. It's also in Mile High. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Broncos.
I think New England gets the upset.
Whoa, I'm picking
I
the Dolphins.
Now I won't feel any differently about Miami after this game, but I think New England gets the upset in this one.
If there was a coach that could scheme up something against that offense, it probably would be Bill.
Yes. Who
So
maybe a fraudulent GM, but as a coach is still
oh yeah,
what he's always been, I believe.
Yeah.
And
and then
I think-
Saints.
I hate picking.
Oh, it's a
the
Monday night
Panthers.
doubleheader. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, they always do that in week 2. I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
As much as I don't
Um,
want to pick Carolina
I'm
to
thinking
start
the
0-2,
Panthers.
fuck. See, that's what
I'll go Panthers on that one.
this New Orleans secondary though is gonna make Bryce's life hell. Is how I
Sure.
feel, and that's I don't know. And
I just got a
JC
feeling. I think the Panthers pulled this off.
JC Horn as well is now injured once again, which stinks because I love JC Horn. Hate seeing him
Well,
hurt.
hold on. You were saying that this actually now that I think about it, you said the Saints secondary will make Bryce's life hell, but the Titans receivers were getting open, and if the Carolina receivers can do what the Titans receivers did, or even if it's not as well as the Titans receivers did,
Yeah.
I trust Bryce to get them the ball on like Tannehill.
Well, yeah, I feel like if Bryce Young was our quarterback, we would have hung 40 on New Orleans. To be honest with you, even after the week that he had, I feel like he at least can read a defense.
Yeah,
which is
so I'm taking the Panthers.
All right, I hate that you've done this, but you've convinced me. So, I'm taking Carolina, and then we've got Cleveland versus. I think this is a bounce back week for Pittsburgh.
100%. And Monday, Mike Tomlin gets an extra day to get his team ready.
Yeah.
I trust that.
I trust the culture. I trust the defense. I don't trust Matt Canada, which I don't think I weighed the Matt Canada factor enough when making my preseason predictions.
Nobody
because this guy stinks, and he still does. He's Pittsburgh's Todd Downing. The difference is Todd Downing got fired. Matt Canada didn't. But ultimately, I think it's a bounce back week for Pittsburgh.
So which games do we differ on?
We differ on New England, Miami.
Yeah.
We differ on Commanders, Broncos.
Yes.
And we differ on Titans, Chargers.
So that's 3 games.
Yes, because we both picked the Atlanta win over Green Bay.
Yeah, we did. That's right.
Yep. Ultimately, I mean, I feel.
Let's see if Gabe makes his picks this week.
I'm not going 16 for 16, but I
feel
pretty good about it.
I felt good about my picks last week, and I went 9 for 16. 9 out of 16.
Yep. So is it brief college football time where I, the college football fan, explained to the not very much into college football guy about what happened this week?
Yeah.
Yep. Well,
let's try to make this a short segment.
Very much so. We've already running over 2 hours here. It's a long one, but 2 hours 17 minutes. I still have to meal prep and take a shower. So,
and then, so just keep this quick because the other 2 segments that I have down would also be very quick ones.
So, real quick. So the story of the week is Texas beating Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Texas is back. There's no getting around it. There's no beating around the bush. Texas is back. Let's just be honest with ourselves. I say this as a fan of the real UT over in Knoxville. Texas is back. Let's be honest.
Then we can move on. I don't want to hear about them.
Okay. Well, then I'll talk about the team that you do want to hear about. Colorado beat the shit out of Nebraska, and Colorado looks really good. And Tennessee struggled versus Austin Peay. which is not very good. If we want to beat Florida, we're gonna have to play better than that. I'm actually going to Bama at USF this weekend. I live 10 minutes away from Raymond James Stadium, so I'm going to that game just for fun. I'll probably leave a little early so I can get home in time for the 7 o'clock kickoff for Tennessee at Florida. But that's the game I want to be at, but I'm not taking the bike to Gainesville. That's a death sentence. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have fun. I'm sure. I'm going with a friend of mine who goes to USF, and then I'm going home and I'm watching Tennessee beat the shit out of Florida, hopefully by 7 points or more. So that there's a bug on my wall. There's a
Any
roach
other
on my
notable?
wall. There's a roach on my wall. I will be right back.
Okay.
Watch it for me while I'm gone. Do you see it by the light there?
Yeah, it's
I'll be
still
right back.
Jacob's camera quality has dropped significantly. I can no longer really be able to make out his big, thick derriere, which is heartbreaking. That's one of the highlights of this. Anytime he stands up, I get to see something. But at least I get to see him be a man right now, although blurry. Kill this bug. He might have just grabbed it. He's folding that up. He killed that thing for sure. Yeah, that's a man right there. God, I wish that was my man. No homo. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's just how I feel.
Pardon me, but the roach.
Don't
is
worry.
dead,
I talked.
so-
I kept it talking that whole time, so we still don't have anything to edit.
Thank you so much. The roach is
That
dead.
is still content right there.
The roach is dead. So
Yeah.
we're safe. I'm safe now.
Any other notable games to highlight about the previous week?
Notre Dame. I actually want to bet on this. I bet Notre Dame to cover the spread against NC State, and they did. So good for them. Excuse me.
Who wins the national championship right now?
Right this moment.
Yeah.
Is it insane to say Florida State? I don't think so. The one issue with them is the one not an issue, but the one thing holding me back is that no team with a less than 50% blue chip ratio on their roster has ever won the national championship. So that's basically for the recruits, like no team with less than 50% of the roster being 4 and 5 star talents has ever won the national championship before in the modern era. And they have, I think, like 40 something. It's in the high 40s. So they're not far off. And they've looked awesome. They beat the shit out of LSU in week 1. That's big game Brian for you, of course, Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
Georgia, I don't know that I believe in Carson Beck, and that's what holds me back from Georgia. Actually, Texas probably wins the national championship right now. I don't necessarily believe in Ohio State right now, just because I don't like Kyle McCord very much either. So that's what holds me back from Ohio State, and I think it's Texas, and then Michigan or Florida State right now playing for it, and I think Texas might be the winner.
Well, right now college football sounds awful. Sounds god awful if that's the case.
Well, Texas A&M lost to Miami, so
I know.
yeah,
I'm aware. I saw that.
They beat them last year in this game, but they did not win this one, unfortunately. Tyler Van Dyke does not suck, which is pretty cool, but that's news to me. I thought he was terrible, but granted, I mean, it was a weird thing last year, but he does not suck right now. He looks pretty good. So
you want to go ahead and get into the top 3?
Let's discuss top 3. This week's top 3. Oh, sorry.
Let me just give this. This is the first podcast episode ever.
Right.
So this is obviously the first time we're doing the segment. But every week we're going to pick a different category and give our top 3 in that category. First ever 1 TV shows. Jacob, do you want to do the top 3?
Do I want to do the top 3? I'm gonna do.
I'll be honest. I forgot because I have my 2.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what the third one
I
is.
just came up with a third on the spot. I just conjured it out of thin air. So actually, shit, I don't know. Picking between 2, but so I'm in no particular order. I'm gonna say 2 for sure. Avatar.
And I'll do the same, and then we can then talk about our
Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of my top 3. I'm going to say Breaking Bad is also one of my top 3. I have not finished Better Call Saul, so I cannot in good faith put it up here because I've not seen the end. But Breaking Bad and Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I think my third one is between 2.
Yeah, I'm the same. So
I'm going to say Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good one. That is for sure a good one.
Actually, Andor's better. I'm sorry. Andor's better.
Yeah.
It's Andor. Andor's
it's
better.
Tough to draw the line.
Yeah. The problem is Andor only has
Um,
one season, but season 2 is going to be immaculate, man. I can't wait. So I'm going to
so
say
my
Andor.
my top three is Power Rangers
Hell
for
yeah.
sure. If you could see, this is just for Jacob because this is the
Yeah.
audio, but all I have behind me is just
Yes,
a shit
sir.
ton of Power Ranger figures
My
that look
friend
beautiful.
actually watched our video of us doing the predictions, and he mentioned all of your Power Rangers figures
Oh
in the
yeah, okay, you got
background.
a
Yeah,
cool
my friend
friend.
John that I'm going to the game with this weekend. He mentioned the Power Rangers figures to me when he
Yeah,
came over to watch the Vols game on Saturday.
yeah, they're but yeah, Power Rangers and Young Justice is definitely also
Love
up
Young
there.
Justice, man. That was a
Love it.
damn good
It
show.
is it is probably what first got me into some of the nerdier things in life
Yeah,
was watching that show. And
damn good show.
it's made Wally West Flash my favorite like superhero. And then my third one is tough. It's between Community, my
Hmm.
favorite sitcom ever. I think it has the highest peak of
Yeah,
any sitcom.
I
And
still haven't
then
seen it, but I need to.
Farscape is the
Farscape.
other one. It is an all-time great sci-fi show, and I think it does a better job than anything else I've ever seen at making the aliens feel alien.
Yeah.
It is. If you haven't seen Farscape, to anyone out there who's watching this, if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It's really good. But it's between those. If I had to pick one, I'll probably go Community
Yeah.
because I think I've rewatched it more.
That's fair.
So I think
That's a
that'll
good
be what the
criteria.
difference is. So that'll be my top three. So my top three is Power Rangers, Young Justice, and Community.
All right, now after the top three, it's time to discuss any other media we've been consuming over the last week
Yeah.
or so. So this is anything: music, TV,
Mm-hmm.
movies, whatever. We can comic books, articles,
Anything.
even if you want to talk about whatever. So, you can start us off here if you want to. What have you been on?
So I've this came out months ago, but I played it when it came out, and then I've been playing it. I've just been playing it since
Yeah,
then, pretty much. Is Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. I've done all the shrines. I've done all the shrines. Um, I'm trying to think what I haven't done. I think the only thing I haven't done, I think there's still a couple side quests that are up in the air, and and I might go 100% on this and just find all the Korok seeds.
hell yeah.
But I got a crazy item when you do all the shrines. You get this mask that
Yeah,
turns you into this like cat-like creature.
Cat Boy. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, which I did not expect, and I was like, what the fuck is this? But I've been on that, and then I started watching Freaks and Geeks. You familiar with that show?
I've heard of it. Yes.
Yeah, the like James Franco, Jason Segel,
Yeah.
Seth Rogen. But it's because it's that show and Firefly are usually considered like the best shows that only ever have one season.
Yeah.
So I started watching Freaks and Geeks because I'm going to be doing a series on my channel where it's called it's called Too Soon. Where I watch shows that have been canceled after one season and see if they were actually good, if they should have continued or not.
Yeah.
And I've only seen the first two episodes of Freaks and Geeks, but first two episodes got me hooked. I'm into it,
Really good.
and there's 18 episodes total, so I still have 16 more to watch. But I'm liking it. It seems pretty good. But there is just some stuff from James Franco that has not aged too well.
Yeah, that'll do
The
it.
highlight is they were doing there's like an anti-drinking like PSA or whatever a theater production
Yeah.
for the high school, and one of the actresses goes up there, and James Franco his character leans over to another character and was like, "I'd like to get her drunk," and I was like, "Oh,
Yikes. Yeah.
yeah, buddy,
Yep.
no,
No.
no, who wrote that?"
Yeah.
But it's pretty good, and it honestly has some of it. It actually has high schoolers in it that look like high schoolers.
Good. Good, because they usually look like they're 30.
Yeah, they actually have high schoolers that really do look like high schoolers.
Yeah.
Because it's about two siblings really, one being the part of the freak group and one being part of the geek group. But the geek group especially, I'm like, yeah, that those actually look like high schoolers.
Yeah.
But yeah. Great show. But I'm trying to think of anything else. I guess I'll pick a movie for us to watch. because I
I don't
told
even
Gabe
think
to
I
pick it.
watched Gabe's suggestion.
I don't think Gabe made one.
Oh, that's probably why I haven't watched Gabe's
Yeah,
suggestion.
I told him twice and he
Yeah.
never made one. So I'll go in the group chat and I'll pick one
No,
today.
he did make one. He did make one, and it's one that he's watched quite a few times. But it said that he wanted to rewatch it, so he just made it our movie. I totally forgot about it though.
Oh
But
fuck!
it's
I did
your
not.
week. It's your week anyways, so go ahead and make yours. We'll just have to catch up.
I didn't see this.
We'll have to catch up on what he said, but go ahead and make yours
I'll
regardless.
get in the. We'll get. You'll see me asking some questions in the group chat after this.
Well, you can tell the audience what our movie of the week is for this week that we have to watch to report back on next week.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Well, you better figure it out, buddy.
I will listen to you while you speak, and
you don't have to
think
come
of
up
a
with
movie.
it on.
I think it's probably good.
Week.
I think it's probably good because if we can list them here,
yeah, and give our
maybe
give our thoughts
maybe a watcher watches it as well.
Yeah.
Someone who listens to this way.
So.
If somebody's here, let me get this off before we even leave it.
Yeah.
I know you still have to go, but if anyone's still here, well, love you.
We're not live, but yeah,
I know, but I'm saying like if they got this far into the video,
if you made it this far, I love you. By the way, you deserve a kiss. And Brayden just gave it to you, but you deserved another one. So there it is.
Yeah. So what are you on right now? What have you been consuming?
I've been consuming some guts lately, and by guts I mean the new Olivia Rodrigo album. And I think it's a bit of an improvement over her. I liked her debut quite a lot. I thought it was really good, but I think Guts is even better. I think it's more focused. I think it's not as inconsistent either. Like there were some songs from Sour that I thought were like just like your standard like acoustic ballad with like the same four chords being strummed over and over again, which is not my favorite type of song. And there was definitely she still had some of those like somber moments in this album, but it wasn't like that. It was I thought more concise, more pleasant to listen to. And of course there were some bangers on this thing. Like the opening song is called All American Bitch, and it's basically a song about how she's like, you know, she's a product, but you know she's always putting on the persona of like, yep, I'm like I'm super pretty like when I'm crying, and I'm just that bitch, like the perfect all-American bitch. You know, I'm just everything that, you know, that I'm supposed to be as far as like image goes, whatever, and how exhausting it is for her. And you know, and I think she's
a pretty girl.
She's beautiful, but I think that's like you know exactly what you want. I think from mainstream pop music is like that still gives you some substance. That I think is you've struck gold there, because now you're relatable. Now there's an extra reason to listen. There's, you know, it just provides more than what most radio filler does, I think. And I don't listen to the radio much, but of course I've been on some David Bowie. I'm always on some David Bowie. I named my cat after David Bowie. I love David Bowie. I was listening to Station earlier today. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and give my my top 5 favorite David Bowie albums. Real quick, though. I'm not going to make it a thing.
Okay.
But, number 5 is Aladdin Sane. Number 4 is Station. Number 3 is Low. Number 2 is Black Star. And number 1 is Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, which I own on vinyl over in my collection that you can see, kind of. The audience can't see it, but there's my stack over there. That thing.
I'm gonna assume
that's my
that's
vinyl stack. The thing my finger's waving at.
Yeah, I assumed that's what it was, but
yeah, I
it's
know
hard to see what's going on over there.
I'm sorry, but let's see, TV shows, movies, or whatever. I watched the what do you call? Have you seen Invincible?
Yeah,
I watched.
You saw the Adam Eve?
Yes, I watched the Adam Eve.
Yeah, I saw that too. That was really good.
It was fantastic. I recently watched Superbad, which actually has like the antithesis of that James Franco drunk joke, because at the end of the movie, it's Jonah Hill who gets drunk and he's hitting on this girl, and she's like, "Oh no, I can't. You're drunk," and he's like, "What?" She's like, "I can't do it. You're drunk. Like, I can't do it." And
good for her.
Very good for her.
Whoever wrote James Franco's character should have.
Yeah. Shame on Jonah Hill for trying to get her drunk to do the thing, and then also good on Michael Cera's character for not letting a girl like, you know, throw herself at him while she's drunk. He was like, no, this is kind of like, well, let's not do that. So and it's hilarious. Like the movie's.
I've been on the girl side of it. I mean, nothing happened, but I was drunk and
you told me about
advances
this,
were made. It happened more than once.
Oh, okay. You told me one of these stories about where you.
It's only happened twice, I think. Yeah. But both times I was like, no. But
I've never been in that situation before. I've never had to like either be drunk and like have to keep myself from throwing myself at somebody, and I've never been like sober and like have had somebody drunk, doing that. But like,
yeah, I've never been on the sober side of it.
oh, okay. But
been on the drunk side of it. And one of those people are now my sister-in-law. It was at the wedding.
Sweet home Alabama.
Oh, yeah, well, there's no blood.
Hey,
and I said no.
Yes. But, I know you told me about this because you did tell me it was at the wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one was at like a party at a friend's house
yeah.
with a girl I worked with.
That's good stuff. But, what else? I saw Grave of the Fireflies. That was the first movie we did. That was the first movie we did. In the fucking chest.
Holy shit! That's a great movie. If you haven't seen it,
bring a box of tissues with you. But yes,
and also have someone there with you.
Yes. I watched it with my cat. He was cuddling with me. Thank goodness when I was watching the movie. So I had an emotional support kitty with me.
I watched it by myself in this chair right here on my computer.
Was Dirkio behind you or no?
He was probably in the room.
Okay.
If I had to guess.
Yeah, Bowie was cuddling with me on the couch, so I was.
But I was just on the screen like.
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, I've also been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3. I'm having a great time. There's too many games that came out the last couple months. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not buying Baldur's Gate 3, Starfield, and Armored Core 6 because that's too much fucking money.
Is Starfield good?
I've heard it's good. Yes. I mean, it's a Bethesda RPG, so
I think the only thing I heard was that it didn't. And this isn't a surprise, but it didn't quite deliver on the explorability of the planet.
Well, they were also very adamant in the promotional material that this was not going to be No Man's Sky, where it's like you can, just free fly all the time and do like no, there's set points to land on and planets, and you have to go into a menu to fly to a new one, and that kind of thing. Like, it's not the same game. It's not that kind of game. And they were very adamant about it, that it was not going to be that kind of game because they did not want to create any kind of false expectations. But there was this like IGN review where somebody was like, I flew for 7 hours to another planet, but I flew right through. It's like, yeah, because you didn't go into the menu and change which planet you were on. Like, that's how the game works. I'm sorry you chose to ignore what the game told you and got mad when you wasted 7 hours. But that's on you. Like, why is it Bethesda's fault that you chose to ignore what they told you and then get mad about it? Like, look, I'm never gonna go to bat for the developer, especially not Bethesda, because like,
you did remind me because I am playing another game as well right now. It's because we talked about the Wii Vault series. I stream the games that I do for the Wii Vault series. The Wii Play video is coming up Saturday. The next one in the series is going to be X-Men Destiny.
X-Men Destiny, yes sir.
Yeah, I only played a little bit of it. You pick a there's like 3 set characters and then 3 set powers, so you can customize in terms of
you're gonna
for that much.
Buddy.
You just did a decision-based game of if you're going to be part of the X-Men or the Brotherhood.
Oh, okay.
And
that sounds like fun.
All the Brotherhood, but it's just like all the Brotherhoods they're just dicks.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, there's nothing compelling me to make the Brotherhood decision here.
Yeah.
If it would have been a better game. At least so far. I've only been like an hour and a half in. There's more game, but so far it's just been easy X-Men decisions because the Brotherhood are just like, fuck you, but help me. So if they made it more compelling, like they really showed both sides in a positive light that made it, the decisions more difficult, it would have been a better game so far.
Yeah, I hate games where like the factions aren't nearly as equal. Like almost the worst offender of this is Fallout 4 because they all suck to some degree. Like, okay, Brotherhood of Steel, yeah, you've got cool armor and stuff, but now you're a Nazi. Congratulations. I
must have missed that part.
You've got what Elder Maxon is very clearly based on Hitler. The appearance and his ideology, he's definitely a fascist at the very least. But then you've got the Railroad, who are just very incompetent. Like they got the right idea, but they just kind of suck at what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way to find
and
their
then
base
I have a settlement that needs your help.
Oh my god, that is like the best like neutral ending to where you don't have to actually defeat any other faction. But like you can leave the Brotherhood and the Railroad intact by just going after the Institute, or you can join the Institute and work with your son, but he's not really your son at this point. He's older than you.
Oh, I
And
remember when I first played Fallout 4. As soon as you meet him, I was like, "Oh, you're like not my son anymore," and I just shot him in the head,
oh
and
damn,
then I just walked out of the institute, and nothing happened. Like I wasn't attacked by anybody there. I just walked out, and then there was no decision later on for me to make.
hmm.
And I was like, I remember thinking, did I just break the game?
You'd think he'd be an essential NPC at that point,
I,
but
I
I
guess
guess
not. I
not.
just shot him
Oh
immediately.
shit.
As soon as he revealed that he's your son, I was like, ew. And I just shot him in the head.
Come here, Bowie. Come here, Bowie.
And I saved before I did it because I was like, I'll just do this as a joke. I'll shoot him in
Yeah,
the head, and then the entire institute will kill me.
yeah, that'd be fun.
And then I just shot him.
Bowie,
Nobody
your foot's
cared, and
getting
I
stuck.
walked out.
Yep.
But yeah,
Oh goodness. But yeah, I don't love
Any-
the faction choices in that game. It's not great.
yeah. But anything else you're on right now?
I don't know. I slowed down a lot as far as music listening goes this year. I was off to a really hot start, like January through March. Like I heard the new Paramore album, and then I got to see them in concert, which was awesome. The new Slow Tie album, the new Lana Del Rey album, the new Hers Collective album that I love, and the new Dog's Body album that I heard, or no, Model Actress. Who Dog's Body was the name of the album. Model Actress is the artist. But yeah, man, a lot of good music that came out earlier this year, and a lot of good music that's come out since that I just haven't been on. I gotta get on. I know Genesis Owusu released a new album recently, um, so we'll see. We'll see what else comes out this year. I know King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, say that 5 times fast, released quite a few albums this year. So I'll have to. I gotta
Catch
take a
up.
yeah. I gotta catch up on a lot. We'll see how much catching up I can do by the end of the year. I want to start powering through some of these, but it's football season, so I picked a pretty bad time to start powering through albums. I see his little tongue. He's so cute. I love Durkio so much, man. He's such a good dog. Hi, handsome. The big yawn behind you. There it is. Yeah. But I
Yeah.
think that's about it. I think I've said my piece. We're running up 240 now on this
Yeah,
video.
we're gonna end it now.
This is double the size of our division predictions, but this has been a fun sesh.
Yeah,
A very fun sesh.
we'll analyze next time, and we're gonna cut it down. I really
Yeah, I think
we'll
we could
we'll
make this more
probably
concise.
we'll probably add like timers, and we'll just try to keep or just look at the time a little bit more.
Well, I shouldn't have to rant 15 minutes about the Titans anymore because
Buddy,
if this happens
I don't
again,
think
I
this is
won't
the
have
last
anything
time.
more to say.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
I guess that's
because
true.
it would just be rehashing the same point. So I can just say, "Yep, same thing as last week. Everybody played well except Tannehill." And then once he gets benched, I can say, "Hey, Will Levis is so much better," or "Hey, Malik Willis is so much better," or "Hey, this guy also sucks." But
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, you have a good rest of your night, man. And
Yeah,
everybody
do you want to
watching,
sign
have a
us
good
off?
rest of your day here. I've been Jacob. This is
This is
Brayden.
Brayden.
I'm tired, and
Yeah.
I'm going to bed. So good night,
And
everyone.
I will probably walk my dog. But I hope everyone else has a great time. If you want to see the second episode of this podcast, will be coming out next week on my channel, Brayden McClellan. So just stay tuned for more to come.
Yep. And that'll be it for us today. So we'll be back here next week. Peace.
Adios.